genügen wird's nie, doch ich kämpf weiter, mein Herz, mein Weg, weiser der Selbstzweifler in mir, mein ständiger Begleiter, doch ich lebe weiter. Aufhören ist keine Option, bekämpfe die eigenen Dämonen und besteige den Thron. Es zieht sich wie ein roter Faden durch mein Leben. Große Taten, wenig reden, denn der Tod erwartet nämlich jeden, muss der rohen Angst entgegentreten. Mein Herz rast, Erinnerung schmerzhaft, doch was mich nicht killt, macht mich stärker. Spür die Kraft in meinem Innern, nenn es Kernkraft, und die Kraft, die mich runterzieht, Schwerkraft. Atme ein, atme aus, kein Zurück, nur geradeaus. Die Gaffer stehen am Gartenzaun, wann zerbricht sein Kartenhaus? Der Druck steigt, Lunge fragt, wo die Luft bleibt. Blut, Schweiß und Tränen schimmern leise im Moonlight. Brauch nicht mal eine Sekunde, nur einen Bruchteil. Glaub nicht an gut oder böse, wer ist schon schuldfrei? So Focus, hier alles in Slow Motion. Jeder sehen wie Ameisen aus hier von hoch oben. Zerleg sie in Protonen, dreht sie im hohen Bogen durch die Galaxie weg auf dem Betonboden der Tatsachen. Nach einer kurzen Glückssträhne folgen die Rückschläge, weil so viele dich fallen sehen wollen wie Hyänen. Sie trauen sich nicht zu träumen, rauben dir deine Freude. Sie haben täglich ihr Leben vor Augen, wie sie's vergeuden. Doch nicht mal einen Tag würde ich tauschen mit diesen Leuten. Sie fühlen sich erbärmlicher, auch wenn sie es verleugnen. Lacht ruhig, ich hab einen Traum, der mir was bedeutet. Los Junge, schau mir in die Augen, siehst du sie leuchten? Bling, bling, ich folg meinem Instinkt, so call me the Kingpin. Trag Gold in mir innen drin, dein Motto ist lose, lose, mein Motto ist win, win. Sie nappen mich, kleiner Versager, Trottel und Winzling. Während sie schliefen, hab ich weiter trainiert. Schreib auf Papier, alles was im Inneren brodelt, keine Zeit zu verlieren. Bin schon einmal krepiert, weil das Leben dir die Sonnenseite zeigt und wieder irgendeine Scheiße passiert. Doch der Street Fighter in mir will weiter marschieren. Vielleicht werde ich mich hin und wieder auf der langen Reise verehren. Er hat dich keine Manieren, vielleicht sind sie schöner, größer, reicher, aber im Ich-Sein bietet mir keiner die Stirn. Und ich steh noch nicht am Ende, scheiß aus Männchen mit der Sense. Sag ihm, cancel deine Pläne, wart nicht länger auf Geschenke. Ich steh kurz vor der Wende und sie heben erst die Hände für die lebende Legende. War der wortkarge Chorknabe, man nannte mich Laborratte. Habe nirgends dazugehört, Passagier ohne Bordkarte. Ich vertickte Mixtapes aus der Sporttasche. Klick, klick, Papier und Stift wurden zur Mordwaffe. In jeder Seele steckt ein König und ein Feigling. Du musst dich entscheiden, bist du heute Löwe oder Schweinchen. Werde ich mich von den Zwängen in mir lösen, bis ich frei bin? Oder hör ich auf die Chöre, die nur nörgeln, an mir zweifeln? Und ja, zu dem Erfolg dazu gehört natürlich Timing. Aber wenn die Chance eintrifft, ja, ich schwör, dass ich bereit bin. Ich visualisiere, wie ich kill und attackiere, wie ich split und massakriere und ein Gröle wie ein Viking. Lass die Traumata jetzt los. Sie verhöhnten mich als Kleinkind, doch ich löste mich. Ich bin nicht mehr böse, ich verzeih ihn. Nur im Battle bringe ich sie fürchterlich zum Weinen. Wie ein scharfes Katana spürst du, wie die Wörter in dich eindringen. Das ist eine Nachricht an mein früheres Ich. Die Zukunft macht dir große Angst, doch bitte fürchte dich nicht. Jedes ihrer Worte ist schlicht und ist eine Bürde für dich. Doch sei dir sicher, dass ihr Licht schon bald in Kürze erlischt. Und klar hab ich Angst, der Gedanke daran zu versagen, verkrampft meinen ganzen Verstand. Darum warte ich nicht lang, denn ich wachse daran. Ich durchbrach diese Wand und ich starte den Kampf.
Hello. Give me a moment. So I need to organize some stuff real quick. The music I had set up is still too quiet, so I need to re-edit this thing. Hold on. Now this music's fine, but I was adding new music, and for some reason, I had set it up to be louder, and it just was not loud enough. So, let me edit that real quick. Really, really quickly. Un momente, por favor. Oh, we can get rid of that timer. I guess I can go live. I'm not showing anything too important. Did I erase the correct one? I'm pretty sure I did. It's still too quiet. If I do that, and then I do this. Where'd I put my face? Here it is. Here's my beautiful face. Let's pause you VLC so I can hear this real quick. That's too loud. You guys can't hear that? That was too loud. Oh, we'll make this... I will still keep it at +10 because the next one's going to have to change this similarly. Okay, yeah, that's good enough. Oh, okay. We'll do that one, and then turn this music back on. I tried to find the official track for these, and I spent so long, and I just could not find them. So I'm doing this the janky way. Okay. That should be done pretty soon. Then I can add this to my playlist. Let me hear that. There we go. They could be a little louder. Oh well, I'll fix it later. Okay. Let's get this out of the way. Let me set something else up. Let me close some stuff so I don't spoil it. I kind of already spoiled it last time, but let's try to keep it a surprise for this time. But before then, let's do some Zenlist stuff. I'll unmute the game so you can hear it. How are people doing today? It's a Monday. We all know Billy's going to be on the top. I don't know if that's true. Pearl Fan MC, that is that's definitely a list.
Don't blink! What are you looking at?
Pearl, you will be this is going to be a tier list. It's not going to be a weird tier list. It's going to try to be a normal-ish tier list. The best agent is Sandy because she has pretty hair. That's a good take. That's
don't blink. Starlight, shine bright.
Ben Bigger is shooting up in the ranks surely? I don't know about that. I don't want to say definitely no, but I don't want to say definitely yes. Do you think the best agent is the agent you last pulled? That's fair.
The Starlight purges all evil.
The verdict is unforgivable.
What are you looking at?
Like a shadow.
Don't blink.
That's all you've got?
Okay, we got a couple people in here. I think we can start this up now. And then I will go to a generic screen.
Woohoo! Up on the bike.
More generic than that. I will need to go back to that screen actually, eventually. But I will go to the storage screen because I think it uses up less resources. Not this screen, but this one. I might be wrong. I have no clue. How important is her engine? This actually, I will segue into that into the tier list discussion. In fact, that's a great talking point for agents. Let's go to the presenting tab. I want you guys to pretend to be surprised and amazed when you see this. Nothing. Where'd it go? It's supposed to be here. Why'd it change? Let's see here. Which window is this again? What happened? Here we go. Is that the one? No. Where is it? Hold on a moment. There we go. Hello. Is that zoomed in enough for y'all? Let me know if that's too, if you need it zoomed in even more. I just do this. That's right. I can cheat this screen because this screen doesn't need to be that big. As in, y'all don't need to see the left side of this screen for this. As in the right side. I'm saying left. I'm looking at the left. I'm trying to say right. So I said left. Of course, that's how that works. Let me know if this is too small for y'all, if you can't read this. I think this should be legible, but I can always increase the size for y'all. It's good? Fantastic. Fantastic. Okay, I didn't figure out a way to segue to start this out. I am going to start recording though, so. How do I start these videos off? I'm going to turn down my audio so that way it's quieter. Howdy, my name's Ojimbo Blade, and today I'm doing my own tier list. That's right. This is not a reaction video. This is my own thing. Because I think there's a lot of discussions about the tier list that people get caught up in all the weeds of like exact tierings and what they actually mean when they do tier lists or rankings within tier lists. So today I said, you know what? I'm going to do that. Tier lists are, here's a very important thing up front. Every tier list is a vibes-based tier list, right? Like when you ask people who's the best basketball player of all time, you will get different answers that are not based on objective fact. They will use objective facts as part of their reasons, but at the end of the day, many people will say, you know what? I believe this player is the best. Despite what the evidence might point to, they will go off of gut feelings and vibes. That's it. So most tier lists are vibes-based, and that's totally fine. The point of a tier list is to discuss things. We are here to facilitate discussion. And hopefully those discussions are useful and meaningful for players. So, as the chat has noticed, you've probably seen this is a weird, like, what is this? This is not a normal tier list. The way I am making this tier list very specific. This is not just here's tier 0 and here's tiers 1. No. These tiers are based on this statement here. These agents blank the end game of ZZZ. And if you're a tier 0 agent, that means you redefine the end game of Zenless. These are your standout exceptional characters. These characters warp the game around them to the point that other agents simply are not on their level. And as part of this, there are a lot of agents that will not be in tier 0. Then we go to tier 1. Tier 1 agents define the end game, or they thrive in the end game, or they excel in the end game, but they are not warping the entire game around them. These are your tier 1 agents. These are your really good agents. And then tier 2, these agents follow the end game. They can keep up with it. They're not pushing out in the lead. They're not dragging too far behind. They're keeping along pretty well at their own pace. Sometimes they will do better in some other things. How do I phrase that better? Some moments they will do better than others, and sometimes they will struggle more than others. But you know what? They can follow along pretty well, and that's why they're in tier 2. And in tier 3, these agents struggle in the end game. That does not mean they can't do anything. People say if you are in the tier 3, that means you're terrible, unusable, and you can't do anything. That's not true. That just means you have to put in more work. Now, granted, the agents in this tier list, or in this tier, the agents in this tier are weaker than the rest by nature. That does not mean you can't do anything with them. It just means you're going to have to put in more time and effort, and probably some more money too. And the agents in tier 4, this is the very bottom. This is for the worst of the worst. These agents completely collapse in the end game of Zenless. There are not going to be very many agents in this tier. This is just the bottom of the barrel. Because there's some agents I think that struggle. Basically, it's the continuation of the struggle tier. It's like these agents struggle the most, and I just wanted to separate them from the rest of the tier 3 agents. So because of that, some of you might be wondering, why am I making my own tier list this time? What's wrong with the one I had, the system I had to set? Sorry, what was wrong with the system I had set up last time? Well, the issue was when I was reacting to Pridewind's tier list, it kept dawning on me that, you know what? Pridewind has the ability to create the best tier list ever. They have so much data that they pull from active players to get scores and times from agents, and they can use that to make a tier list that goes above and beyond what anyone else could possibly do on their own. And they don't do that. So, for example, in their most recent update, which is when Norma came out, they put Valina, who was in their version is in 0.5. They put her on a watch list to go into tier 0. Like, oh, okay, so maybe they're deciding, you know, whether or not she'll be tier 0. But no, here's what it reads, quote, "We actually believe Valina to be a tier 0 level. And the only reason she isn't moving is because Ramiel is likely to shake up the anomaly meta." So their own tier list says, yeah, so Valina shouldn't be where she is, but we don't want to change it. It's like, why? Just change it. It's your tier list. Just change it. Put her where she belongs. You admit she belongs. Hire her. Just put her there. It's so frustrating. It's very frustrating. So I have a love-hate relationship with Pridewind. They have a lot of good resources and tools for players, but their tier list is lacking. It could be fantastic and wonderful, and it's just not. So I've said, you know what? I'm just going to do it myself. And that's the point of this list. You might be wondering on that topic, hey, are there not any zero? Where are the 0.5 tiers? We will get to them. Who can I use as an example for the 0.5? Do I do that now or do I do it later? I'll do it later. Starting off, I will go in order of this. We will do supports, then defense, then stun, rupture, anomaly, attack. And I'm doing this because I think the supports are more important to talk about, because some of the rankings for the supports is going to help our discussion of these other agents later. And in general, I think having support is more important because most teams only have one DPS-ish. And if you change their supports, then they suddenly become terrible and awful. So I think supports are more valuable for most accounts. Okay, let's see. S rank Lucy. I don't think that's going to happen. I'm very sorry. First off, we will start off with Nicole. I think Nicole, first off, hold on. But one more thing. Go do my Columbo thing. I'm sorry, one more thing. This tier list is going to be harsh. Not harsh, but it is not going to be the Pridewind issue of half the cast will not be in tier 0. That's stupid. That's really dumb, and it does not help players understand anything about the game. That is why this statement here is very specific. Which is why Nicole is going in tier 2. She is following along with the end game. There is possibly an argument to put her in tier 1, but when I show the rest of the agents, you will quickly understand why she's not in tier 1. So don't get upset. Nicole is really good. This is your really good list. If you're in tier 2, that means you're good. This is not like Pridewind's list where if you're not in tier 0, then you're awful. or other lists where if you're not in tier 0, then you're terrible garbage and not worth pulling. Nicole's in tier 2, which means she's really good. And if you're not really good, then you go lower. That's the thing. Omar has a really good point. Tier 2 is the baseline. And the best thing about Nicole is that Nicole is free. Like, you don't have to pay to get Nicole. Especially now with the A rank selector in 3.1, you can just choose whichever A ranks you want to get for the exclusive banners. So you can very easily get a Mindscape 6 Nicole. Nicole has defense shred. She does have to keep her debuff on enemies is very short, so she does have to be more active. The more active, the better you are at keeping her buff, the higher she will be. This is assuming that you are good at the game, basically. And by good at the game, I mean you are decent at using the character in their ideal teams and setups. If you're terrible with Nicole, then yeah, of course she's gonna be worse, because if you don't ever apply her debuff, then what is she doing? And if you're wonderful, fantastic with Nicole, then she will be better. Do I think she becomes so much better that she goes into tier 1? Probably not, because you'll see the other agents we place there. Next up is Lucy. Lucy, I think she struggles. Again, this does not mean she's terrible. It just means she has to put in more work and effort than other agents. What Lucy is really good at doing is that her damage is actually pretty good, and her buff does apply to the whole team, unlike some of these other supports that we will talk about. But beyond that, her attack buff is just not as high as other agents, and she doesn't quite do enough damage or give the team enough damage compared to the other agents we will talk about. That does not mean that you can't use a team with Lucy. It just means that she will struggle in her teams. Now, you can create a good team and then put Lucy in there, and that's totally fine. But Lucy is not the backbone of those teams. Typically. It depends on the character you're buffing. This is also rating Nicole based on her. You can also turn Nicole into a DPS, by the way. Give her a bunch of crit stats, and it's great. She can be on field the entire time if you have enough sub DPSs or supports on the team. It's more important for Cecilia, but I'm not like ranking her higher based on like, here's DPS Nicole and here's support Nicole. No, I'll just group it up together. It's much simpler to talk about. Sokaku it's tough for me to rate, because I know that when I rate Sokaku, a lot of people will probably get upset. Or maybe not a lot. A very small group of people will get upset because of the discussion around that. I'm going to put Sokaku into tier 3. I think maybe there's an argument for tier 2, but I don't think she is going to fit in with the rest of the cast in tier 2. Sokaku is really good, is exceptionally fantastic in the Mono Ice team. The problem is that Sokaku is not the star of the Mono Ice team, it's Miyabi. And when she's not in that team, she's just not as good anywhere else. That doesn't mean she's terrible or awful. Again, this struggle tier. She has to put in more time and effort than other agents, but she can still do things. She can only give her buff to one agent, and she does take a little bit of wind-up time to give her buff in the first place. So she's a bit slow. If she were quicker and she could give her buff to the team, she would easily be in tier 2. But she takes a bit more time and effort to do that. So because of that, I think it is fair to put her in tier 3. And then we get to Rena. And Rena, I am not exactly sure where to put her, because this is not accounting for her potential unlock, really. So I think I'll talk about this now. And I'm going to do something. I'm not going to put her where she belongs right now. I'm going to show this as an example. For those wondering, what are the tier 0.5s? They're going to be, oh, that wasn't below. They're going to be something like this. Oops. Let's see how that comes out. Yes. Sorry. Now, you might be wondering, so wait, what the heck is this 0.5? What's this about? The way this tier list is going to be different from other tier lists. This is not going to be a tier list where an agent goes into 0.5 or 1.5. If you can make a reasonable, how do I phrase this? A convincing, reasonable, well-explained argument for why that character belongs in tier 0, then we can put them in tier 0 and then drop them down into 0.5. This is not, oh, well, they're really good in tier 1, therefore they're going in tier 0.5. Nope, that's not how that works. If you can't make a good, convincing argument to put them in tier 0, then they cannot go in 0.5. This is the barrier to entry. And this allows us to have some fun discussions that we'll talk about a bit later. And so this also helps us gatekeep, like put a block on having half the cast in tier 0.5 or 1.5. Those are not helpful. Very few agents should be in the 0.5s. The agents that are in the 0.5s are agents that are probably in those tiers, but they have some other weaknesses or flaws that can prevent them from going higher, or have issues that sometimes, most of the times, they will actually go lower or higher depending on the agents or the bosses that you're fighting. The other thing I didn't say earlier is that this tier list will not account for very niche endgame buffs. Because there are a couple things where, like, well, this character has this very specific buff, and therefore that means they're tier 0. Like, right, and when that buff goes away in 2 weeks, they will go right back to where they belong. So I'm not accounting for very niche scenarios like that. So the reason I put this here is because I think, in my experience, I am going to rate Rina in... Is that the same color? It is not. That is still not the same color. What the heck? There we go. I'm going to delete this for now. I think there are some teams where Rina is just not a very good agent right now, especially without her potential unlock. Rina is a pen ratio electric anomaly support. The problem is that there are maybe only 2 agents in the game who ever care about both of those things. It is Grace and it is Yanagi. And outside of that, none of the electric agents care about any of the stuff she's giving. Bernice kind of cares about the pen ratio if you have her like Mindscape 2. Yanagi kind of cares more at like Mindscape 4, but like we are not doing that. The other thing I forgot, this is going to be agents. A ranks are at Mindscape 6. The standard agents are at Mindscape 2, and all the limited agents are at Mindscape 0. Just because there's a cutoff point of like some standard agents care about their Mindscape 1 or their Mindscape 2, and they're not going to drastically change where they are placed. Like Rina's not going in tier 4 without her Mindscape 1. She's going to be right here. However, there is a couple teams where Rina can do stuff. There's always like Grace, Rina, Harumasa. There's like Yanagi, Rina, Harumasa. There are a couple teams where you can argue that she goes into tier 3. But I don't think there are enough teams to confidently put her in tier 3, which is why she goes in 3.5. This is how the 0.5 system works. So for most teams, she goes in tier 4. But there are a couple teams where she could be argued to tier 3. That's why she's in 3.5. That's how the 0.5s work. Now we go to Astra. For Rina's potential unlock, I have no clue if it's actually going to change her real placement. Because, like, again, even if you buff Rina, there are still not enough teams that really care about what she's giving. It will make her better. I just don't know if it's enough to put her into tier 2. Like, we are still missing enough teams who really want her buffs. And it doesn't help that half the electric cast cares about defense shred and not pen ratio. Looking at you, Cecilia. You can't see her because she's off screen, but looking at you, Cecilia. If all electric agents really loved pen ratio, then yeah, of course, I'd put Rena higher, but electric agents normally don't. And so that's why it's a real struggle for her. Hold your horses, Omar. I will get to W engines when it's more relevant. I mean, I can talk about it now, but I want to wait for... I think I'll wait for... when I fill out the rest of the supports. So hold on a moment. Next up is Astra. Astra is going into tier 2. These are not ordered, by the way. They're just in the tier. They're not like ordered within the tier. They are just in the tier. Astra's going in tier 2 because Astra is pretty good, but she only gives her buff to one agent at a time. She really does not deal any damage or daze unless you are funny and build a very specific team around like DPS Astra, which is humorous. It's not very good. And she never gets enough decibels consistently enough to get 3 ults. Most supports can get 3 ults in a fight because they are actively doing things. Astra, you will kind of struggle to get 3. Maybe if you... a very specific setup, you can get 3, but most of the time you're only getting 2. And she just does not deal enough damage or daze in her teams compared to these other supports. It's not that Astra herself is really bad. Again, she's in tier 2. I think she's really good. But I don't think she is so good that she is thriving in the end game of Zenless. I don't think she is defining the standard for what supports do in Zenless. So that's why she's in tier 2. At best, she is she's really good in attack teams. But there's another support who is just better than her in those attack teams. And she's not the best in anomaly teams. She's not the best in rupture teams. She's just not... Again, if she were the best at for any very specific class of agent, then I could argue her into tier 1. But she's not. There are other supports who are better than her in those teams. So she's following along with the end game, but she is not defining the end game. Again, this is why these words are very specific. Next up, we have Yuzuha. Yuzuha released in version 2.1. Remiel is about to release in version 3.1, and Remiel kind of replaces Yuzuha in her team. You know, Remiel is a dedicated anomaly support who is just going to be doing a lot of damage too, so unfortunately, I gotta say, Yuzuha is still the best support in the game. Yuzuha's tier 0. If you know, you know. Here's a very short list of reasons why. Yuzuha, when Yuzuha released, the game of Zenless literally changed to give enemies in Deadly Assault 10% higher max anomaly buildup. Ever since Yuzuha released, enemies started getting higher and higher base anomaly buildup, even outside of Deadly Assault. Just bosses in general now have higher anomaly buildup requirements. Yuzuha literally redefined the game around her. And even outside of anomaly teams, she is still one of the best supports for attack teams. She's still one of the best supports for rupture teams. Like, what do you mean? You just give her Game Ball. Game Ball is the way Yuzuha works is that she acquires the attribute of the agent that you quick assist in, or whatever, the sugar ball, the sweet points, whatever. You know how it works. Essentially, she can transform her attribute. Now you might remember, wait, doesn't Remiel do that? Yes, Yuzuha did that first, and she probably does it better because she has a W engine that synergizes with it called Game Ball. So no matter what team you're using, if you're doing a crits team, she is the best user of Game Ball, period. Not only is she really good in rupture teams, not only is she really good in attack teams, she's still one of the best agents in anomaly teams. There is not a better support in the game than Yuzuha. There is not a single team in the game that I could possibly think of where I said, you know what? this team is terrible because of Yuzuha. Like, this team can't do anything, and the reason is because of Yuzuha. I can't possibly think of one. Like, if you can think of any bad team with Yuzuha, I'm confident in saying that Yuzuha is not the reason that that team is bad. Now, for the sake of comparison, we'll talk about Astra real quick. People were comparing when Yuzuha released, who was better, Yuzuha or Astra? And my take on this is that Astra is probably slightly better than Yuzuha in attack teams. And Yuzuha is substantially better than Astra in every other possible team. That is why she's in tier 0. Next up, Lucia. I think Lucia excels in the endgame of Zenless, but I don't think she redefines it. The one reason Lucia is in tier 1 is because, like, she's the only sheer force buffer. She's a support for Rupture teams, but, like, I don't think she does enough for Rupture teams. Like, she gives them crit damage. She gives them sheer force. Like, okay, those are just damage buffs. There are other agents in tier 0 who are literally redefining what teams can do. Yuzuha's in tier 0 because she gives anomaly buildup to the point where not having her in teams means you just can't do enough. You can't have enough anomaly buildup in your teams without Yuzuha. Lucia is just, here's some more damage, which is fine, but that's not redefining your team. Like, not having Lucia in your team does not mean that you can't do an extra chain attack because you missed out on a build-up requirement for her thing. No, she's just giving you more damage, which is fine, but that's not redefining anything. And as Cumin has pointed out, Lucia also has no real competition. And now that's not the reason why she's not in tier 0, but, like, she's not redefining the game because there's nothing to compare her to. Like, again, as I mentioned, I would rather have, if I could only have one of these agents that are on screen right now, I would rather have Yuzuha, because I know for a fact that if I spend $10 for Game Ball, I can just put Yuzuha in every Rupture team, and that would work perfectly fine, assuming they match the attribute of the enemy's weakness. Lucia can't do that. Like, and then I can also swap Yuzuha into every other team, and she's still really good. Did I say Yuzuha? Hold on. Lucia doesn't have that. You can't just swap in Lucia into an attack team and her perform the exact same as before. I've done it as a joke. She does give damage and crit damage. That's fine, but, like, that's not good enough. So that's why she's in tier 1. And then we get to Suna. This one might be questionable. I'm not too sure about this. I think I would put Suna at the top of tier 1, but again, these are not ordered within tiers. They're just in the tier. I think Suna is a very, very good, fantastic tier 1 agent, but I don't think she redefines the endgame of Zenless. I think she's fantastic, but I don't think she is redefining the game around her. That's based on my experience. She's incredible. She's wonderful. She's fantastic. She gives a lot of damage and daze to attack teams and to Nangong Suna teams. Well, I guess it's more specifically, like, yeah, I think it's Nangong, because she needs her additional. At that point, it's attack or faction, which is Arya and Nangong. So that's a tight core you can run. So she's really good. She's fantastic for attack teams. She is the best support for attack teams, period. And she is also really good for turbo stun teams, which there's a couple anomaly teams you can force into doing that. But I don't feel comfortable putting her into tier 0. Again, this is a fantastic tier. If you're in tier 1, then you're a fantastic agent, period. Now, on the topic of did mention Game Ball, but I'm going to talk in general about W engines. The agents in this list are not rated based on any specific W engine. The way I phrase this, whoops, that got loud because the music changed. The way I phrase this is that if an agent requires a specific W engine to be in a tier, then they do not belong, then they probably don't belong in that tier to begin with. So when we get to another agent like Trigger, I'm not going to say, here's where Trigger is without her W engine, and here she is with her W engine. Based on the definitions of this list, if Trigger is, I'll do this example. If you say, oh, she's in here without her W engine, and she's here with her W engine, it's like, no, if you can't make an argument to put her in tier 3 without her W engine, then she's probably not in tier 3 with her W engine. That's just how that works. So, these are the support list. Look at him. And now I'm going to move him back down to this category. So that way we have a clean slate for the defense agents. So overall, pretty standard stuff, nothing too crazy. Now let's boost up the defense agent. This is the defense class, and I'm gonna put Ben in tier 4. This should not be too much of a surprise. The issue with Ben is that Ben's kit, half of it reads as a support, and half of it reads as a counter DPS. But neither of those are fleshed out enough for him to excel in anything. Potentially, I could put him at highest in tier 3.5, but I think there are enough things going against Ben to put him in tier 4. Now, that does not mean that you cannot build like a Ben team where that does not mean that there are 0 decent Ben teams. That just means that you are going to put in a lot more resources into those teams to get to the same level as the agents who are already struggling in tier 3. Next we have Seth. I think Seth is another character where I can put into tier 3.5. So the issue with Seth is not that Seth is bad. Here's the fun fact. If Seth's additional said anomaly or anomaly or electric, I think I could comfortably put him into tier 3. Potentially even tier 2. If I felt crazy enough. The problem is that his additional is attributes or faction, and that is extremely limiting. And it stinks because Seth's addition was actually really good. You just can't really activate it in most anomaly teams. So for that reason, this is on top of the fact that he only gives his buff to one agent at a time. And if you do the whole, oh, well, if you do his chain attack, he can give it to a different agent. That's great. That's awesome. That's fantastic. You know who else gives a buff to the entire team? Yuzuha. Yuzuha doesn't have to worry about that. And guess what? That's still struggling with the character. I think there are enough teams where you can where Seth does buff the team. Like if you do Arya, Seth, Nangong, you are buffing Arya. Like you could do, like, basically Seth is a fill-in for an anomaly support that maybe you're missing. He is going to struggle in those teams, but he is not terrible in those teams. Like he's not unusably. He is not awful in those teams. He's just not very good. He's going to struggle in them. So maybe I put him in tier 3. I think... It's the issue, I think I'm going to put in 3.5 just because of his additional. When you have his additional, I think he's definitely in tier 3. When you don't have it, I think he has to drop down into tier... I think he has to drop down lower because of that. Next is Caesar. I think I will put Caesar into tier 3. Caesar is going to be on the exclusive screening Lost banner now. Basically, you can now, instead of getting Remiel, you can now get lucky and get Caesar as one of your characters. This is still evaluating her at Mindscape 0. And at Mindscape 0, the problems with Caesar is that she buffs one agent at a time, and her defensive assist roots her into place, so she can't actually hit a lot of enemies with her defensive assist. Every other agent teleports to the enemy, Caesar stays rooted in place, which stinks because, like, one of the best things about Caesar is that her defensive assist is kind of decent, but when it misses so much, then she can't go higher. Now, if you are lucky or unlucky enough, depending on your viewpoint, and you end up with Caesar's Mindscape 2, then maybe that's a discussion that's a fun discussion. Does Caesar belong in tier 2 if she has more Mindscapes? I think that's a fun discussion. But this is all at Mindscape 0, so for now, Caesar will be in tier 3. The best thing about Caesar is that you can just press your EX and then not switch to her again. She's just going to give you 1,000 attack, and that's perfectly fine. And some damage buffs as well. But it's not, I don't think it's good enough for her to follow the end game of Zenless. But she's not so bad that she collapses in the end game. She's not unusable. And by unusable, I mean she's not awful, terrible. She's going to struggle, and that's fine. Next is Pan. Vega Clement, no, she is not going to be in the standard banner. She is going to be in the exclusive screening Lost banner. So you have an 8 1/3 chance, or 8 1/3% chance of pulling Caesar. That's a very low number. So, it's very unlikely. You cannot guarantee that you get Caesar, period, in that banner. You are more likely to get the standard agents from the standard banner because it's the standard banner. Now, not that it's more likely, because it's still 8 1/3, because you can get their W engines too, and that counts. Yeah, no, Vega. This is Caesar at Mindscape 0 just because it's going to be much harder to get her Mindscapes compared to like Lycon or Nekomata. She's also not in the shop, so technically it's like if you're a Giga Whale, you can guarantee you get Nekomata's Mindscapes, but you can't ever guarantee you get Caesar's. Now that's not gonna factor in the list. I'm not ranking like Mindscape 6 Nekomata. All right, next up is Pan. Pan goes into tier 2. I think Pan is a pretty good agent for Rupture teams. I think he follows along pretty well with the endgame of Zenless. The biggest issue with Pan is that his reverse quick assist, like he can only give his sheer force buff through his reverse quick assist or when he starts a chain attack with his EX. And that's kind of a problem because the Rupture agents that we keep getting, and I'll scroll down so you can see some of them, especially Dylan and Norma, are designed to do stuff with, how do I phrase this? They want their DPS to be to the right so that Norma can use her quick assist and the chain attack with that agent, and so that Dylan can get her empowered EXs. And Pan does not play well with that at all. That's why it's kind of hard for Pan. If Pan gave a regular assist, he would actually be much better. But I don't think he'd be so much better that he goes in tier 1. I think Pan's pretty good. And again, for context, Lucia was in tier 1. And the competition for Lucia in Rupture teams is Pan. And I think Pan is pretty good for what he does. He doesn't do that much, but he doesn't have to do that much. It do be spooky. He is better than Caesar because how much sheer force he gives converts into more attack than what Caesar gives. And he also gives more damage. Not more damage. He gives more damage to those teams, and also his defensive assist actually hits people. There are so many times when you switch to do Caesar's defensive assist, and nope, she's rooted in place, she just misses. With Pan, all you need to do is you press EX, and then you don't have to worry about him. Again, Pan is only here in Rupture teams. Like, Pan does not work outside of Rupture teams well at all. But he's good enough in those Rupture teams to follow the end game. Next up is Zhao. Zhao will go into Tier 2. I think Zhao follows along really well with the end game of Zenless, but I don't think she is defining the end game. I don't think she is thriving in the end game of Zenless. She's really good. Now, if this were an ordered tier, she would definitely be higher than Pan, but these are unordered, so don't worry about it. Zhao gives a bunch of attacks. She gives a bunch of damage. The issue with Zhao is that she really doesn't do that much. Like, she does this whole thing where she like charges up her attacks to do an attack while she's off field, kind of, but like her damage is not good enough for it to matter. So, like, again, it's not that Zhao's bad. It's just like she's good, but she's not so good that she belongs in tier 1. That's crazy. She's not defining the end game as endless. So yeah, Zhao's pretty good. She belongs in tier 2. It's also weird that like her kit seems like it should be designed for Rupture teams, and she's just not a Rupture support. It's very unfortunate. Her additional activates with anomaly agents. For some reason, my only guess is they wanted players to use her if they got Arya. But like Arya does not care about Zhao at all, so like why? It's funny. That's it for defense agents. Lynn Torch, you're arguing that Zhao belongs in tier 1? What, Lynn Torch? Give me the compelling, reasonable argument to put Zhao into tier 1. That does not have to do with, oh, but Ye Xiongguang exists. Okay? Zhao is not Ye Xiongguang. Ye Xiongguang will get her own tier rating. Where does Zhao go in teams? No, Lynn Torch, you were not here for the beginning. I was very specific about this. Chat, we can let him know real quick. We'll copy paste this over. It's a good reminder for people who are new. Lynn Torch, this is not the list of, oh, well, you know, maybe I think this character belongs in tier 1.5. No. If they do not belong in tier 1, then they cannot be placed in tier 1.5. We are gatekeeping the 0.5s. The 0.5s are exclusive to characters that belong into like tier 1, but maybe have some other weaknesses or flaws that can drop them down a little bit. We are not doing the thing where half the cast is in tier 1 the 0.5s. I hate that. It is not helpful for players. No worries, Lynn Torch. It's all good. There's other people who probably came in later who didn't know that too. So I wanted to get that. It's good to refresh people who came in later. Oh, wow. I just looked. How many viewers do I have? Hello? That's crazy. I'm just now noticing the number of concurrent viewers. I'm sorry. I've been locked in. What about tier 1.999? That's a great idea. I'll get on that. Here are the stun agents. This is going to be really quick. It's Ambi. She's in tier 4. She does not do enough for teams. She does not actually buff teams in any meaningful way whatsoever. If you're crazy, then you can maybe get 9 energy when she uses a chain attack from her Mindscape 4, and you are an electric agent. That's about it. Yeah, Ambi does not do enough. She collapses in the end game of Zenless. Next is Kaleda. I struggled with this one of like, do I want to put Kaleda into tier 3? It's like, do I think Kaleda is so bad she belongs in tier 4? Possibly. However, we now have another character. We now have, I think we can have enough teams in the game where, because we have enough, a critical mass of stunners who stun quickly enough where Kaleda does become a slot where in a fire team that does activate her additional and you are stunning quickly enough, then you are buffing your chain attacks. And because Norma does give more chain attacks, there are a critical mass of teams where Kaleda is not in tier 4. So because of that, I will put her in tier 3.5. There is an argument to put her into tier 3, but I don't think she quite fits with the rest of the agents in tier 3. That's why she goes in tier 3.5. Kaleda does a lot of days, and she buffs your chain attacks, and that's it. The issue with Kaleda is a lot of her attacks can just miss if you are very unlucky. And for most teams, her additional is very limiting. It's fire and faction. And her faction does not really synergize with her well at all. And most fire agents would rather have any of these other stunners on here. So Kaleda struggles to find a place to call her home. However, there are a few teams where if you just have Kaleda, you already have a team set up, and you say, oh, you know what? Kaleda can work well in this team. So that's pretty good. Yes, this is considering her Mindscape too. It do be spooky. So the issue is, like, at best, I could put her in tier 3. There is 0 chance she goes into tier 2. She is not following the end. I don't believe Kaleda is a character who follows the end game of Zenless, who keeps up with the end game. I think she struggles. And I think there are a couple teams where she really does not do much of anything. So she'll go in tier 3.5. Next up is Lycon. That is correct. Legend of Tai. Toki, I forgot how to say your name. Kaleda was one of the first agents to ever get buffed in the game. She got her potential unlocked to work with Rupture agents. None of the Rupture agents want her. So, yeah, she'll go down lower. That's why she's in tier 3.5. Again, if you have Kaleda, and for some reason you already have Norma, and you're like, man, the enemy is stunned, and I'm getting Norma's additional chain attack, and I can run a doubles Rupture stun team. It's like, I guess Kaleda does have a place in those teams. I think that's a very specific niche team. That should not be that is not the baseline for Kaleda. That is something beyond. That is not a. How do I phrase it? That is not something that makes Kaleda good. Those teams are already good, and you're like saying, oh, I guess Kaleda can be put in there. Sure, why not? All right. Next up is Lycon. Lycon's really good. This is one I'm really conflicted on. I'm not sure if I want to put Lycon higher or lower. For the sake of this tier list, again, this is a stricter, harsher tier list. Agents at the top end are going to be pushed down. Because of that, like if this were a Pride Win tier list, yeah, I'd put him in tier 1, but this is not a Pride Win tier list. Is Lycon defining the endgame of Zenless? I don't think so. I think Lycon's following along really well. I think he is a very high tier 2. I don't think he is I don't think he is exceptional in the end game outside of a couple very specific teams. So Lycon is an extremely high tier 2. Extremely high tier 2. He follows along really well. He keeps up with the end game pretty consistently. There is not it's hard to think of a Lycon team for Attack, Rupture, or Anomaly where you say, oh man, Lycon is terrible. He's not doing anything. No, Lycon's really good in most teams. We have enough Burst Anomaly teams where Lycon's doing pretty well. the problem is I can't think of a really strong argument to put him into tier 1. I think there are maybe a few teams where he's in tier 1, but I don't like Hugo. Like, yeah, Lycon is really good with Hugo, but I don't think Hugo is a high tier agent. So it's like, yeah, Lycon is good in that team, but that team is not good enough to be placed highly. He's goated with Yidhari? That's fair. Next is Ching Yi. And Ching Yi is going in tier 2.5. That's because there are a couple teams where you put Ching Yi on the team and Ching Yi is not good enough. Ching Yi only gives a buff to the team when the enemy is stunned. And there are enough times in the end game where the enemy will just refuse to be stunned. And then in those teams, in that scenario, Ching Yi really can't buff the team in any meaningful way. In the fights where you can't stun enemies, Ching Yi is definitely tier 3. But in the fights where you can consistently stun enemies, she's tier 2. So we're going with the happy medium of there's a compelling argument to put her in tier 2. And there are enough situations where she probably belongs in tier 3. So we're putting her in tier 2.5. That means there are some teams where, you know what, Ching Yi is actually better than Lycon. There's some teams where, you know what, Ching Yi is actually worse than Lycon. To remind people, these are not accounting for W engines, as in Ching Yi with her W engine and without her W engine will not change her rating in this tier list. Like, if she's only in tier 2.5 with her W engine, then she probably does not belong there. But Ching Yi is not that kind of character, so I don't have to worry about that. Next up is Pulchra. I think she struggles a bit. She's pretty good if you have nothing else. With the best thing about Pulchra is that with the A rank selector, you can now much more easily get her Mindscape 6, which opens up a lot of her team options. But even then, Pulchra simply does not deal enough damage or daze. Her daze is pretty good because she's off field. You don't have to worry about committing to her all the time. I think Pulchra's all right, but I think compared, again, relative to the rest of the cast, she still has to struggle a bit. That does not mean she's awful. If she were awful, she'd be down here. I think she's all right. That's why she's in tier 3. She'll struggle a bit, but you can get the job done still. Yeah, as Zenichi mentioned, half of her Mindscapes talk about boosting her damage, and her damage does not matter. It is not ever high enough for those Mindscapes to factor in. Like, oh, if I do my EX, increase my crit rate by X%, it's like, yeah, so that doesn't help, Pulchra. Like, could you give the team more damage or give the team the crit rate? That'd be nice. Give me the crit rate. Next is Lighter. I had a back and forth on this. I think Lighter is a weird case because compared to all of these stunners, you could argue that, oh, if you throw Lighter into any random team, then he's tier 4. It's like, right. But we have enough critical mass of agents, of fire and ice agents in the game that I don't think it's fair to be like, oh, if I put him with a physical attacker, he's tier 4. It's like, why would you do that? You would never use Lighter in those teams to begin with. Maybe not never, because I did that as a joke once. I think it is fair to put Lighter into tier 2. I think for fire and ice teams, he gives enough buffs for them. The issue with Lighter is that his daze is not incredible, and his personal damage is also not very, very high. He takes a bit of a while to give his buff to the team, and so those are the issues against him. Maybe that's enough to put him in tier 2.5, but in my gut tells me to put him in tier 2. I think he follows along pretty well. Also, we are about to get another ice DPS, and by DPS I mean ice attacker. And would you look at that? Lycon likes to buff ice attackers. Did I say Lycon? I meant lighter. If his buff worked for Rupture agents, he would still be in tier 2. Because I think the other agents in tier 1 are just better than him. I think he follows along really well. I don't think opening up his additional 2 Rupture teams would make him define the endgame of Zenless. Like, again, relatively speaking, this is the same tier that Suna and Lucia were in. And Yuzuho was in tier 0. Is lighter with his additional always active for fire and ice teams in general. Is he defining the end game of Zenless? I don't think he is. That's why he's in tier 2. Next up is Trigger. Trigger goes into tier 2. I think Trigger is pretty good. And yes, this is also including Trigger without her W engine. Trigger's pretty good. You don't have to worry about her too much. She just gives the team an uncontested 25% damage buff at most times. It's a stun damage multiplier that applies outside of stun. So that's kind of funny. You don't have to commit too much with her. Her days is not that high, but it's high enough so you can stun pretty consistently. Her buff is just really good, and it's consistent. It's hard to mess up with Trigger. The only way you mess up with Trigger is if you switch to her. And how you play Trigger is that you don't really switch to her that much. Goat, I think she's underrated for Anomaly teams because she does not help with their Anomaly buildup. That is like the one issue with her. Yes, before enemies got like much higher Anomaly buildup, Trigger was much better in those teams. But now with the threshold for anomaly buildup on enemies, Trigger is less useful in those teams. You can still use her, but there's another stunner who is much better at that. And we will get to her very soon. Next is Jufufu. Jufufu is also going into tier 2. I think Jufufu is pretty good. She follows along with the meta pretty well. I don't think she's defining the meta or excelling in it at this point. I think it is fair to say that Jufufu is pretty good, but not fantastic or amazing, which is why I don't think she belongs in tier 1, and that's why she's in tier 2. I don't have much to say about this. She does now have a team that I think she works much better in now with Pyroas. With how Pyroas wants to have more decibels, I think Jufufu's way of increasing your decibel limit, I think that's kind of interesting. I don't know how game-changing that is. I don't have experience with that team personally. But I think that's a pretty good team for Jufufu in theory, based on my very limited understanding. Next up is Dialin. Now this one is a ranking I'm not too sure about. I could be argued to put Dialin in a different tier. But I still think Dialin redefines the endgame of Zenless. Her own personal damage output based on your DPS. A free ult whenever you want. This is the joke you've heard a lot of people saying, but like, which would you rather have? 300 decibels or 3,000 decibels? Now, yeah, I mean, I don't know what else to say about Dialin right now without talking about Norma, but yeah, Dialin just does a lot of days, does a lot of damage without having to do that much. Her rotations are pretty simple. Yeah, there's not really like a matchup I would say that Dialin is terrible or awful in. There are a couple teams, like maybe Hugo doesn't like Dialin, but Hugo is already not going to be in tier 0, so that doesn't matter. Alan Walker says the Yuzuha of stun. That is an interesting way to phrase that. Next up is Nangong. Nangong's also going in tier 0. Nangong just does so much. The other fun thing about Nangong is that she's just a DPS. When you read her and her additional, when you read her core, you go, oh wow, so she's just a DPS, and she's even a better DPS with her W engine. You can just do hyper carry Nangong, and you're as an anomaly team, and you will do pretty well. Like, it's not even that she's tier 0 as a stunner. At worst, I would probably put her in like tier 2 as an anomaly DPS at worst. But she's not a DPS, she's a stunner. Yeah, she just does so much. And even then, you might, oh, she's only good for anomaly teams. No, that's not true. When you pair her up with Suna, where did Suna go? I put her down here. When she's paired up with Suna, you can kind of just put her in any attack team, and she will still give all of her debuffs and stuff. You will get your chain attacks get that extra anomaly buildup. That means more anomalies, which means more decibels. So you are also buffing attack teams as well. Again, that's a very specific pairing. That's not being rated in this exact evaluation. So yeah, Nangong is just really good as a stunner. Incredible. Lots of damage for the team. Polarity disorders. She's got it all. She redefines the endgame of Zenless. You can now do things with anomaly teams that you could never do before. It's incredible. Next up is Norma. Again, everything post Norma's release, including like Remiel and Sigrid, I'm going to be very iffy about because I don't have any experience playing these characters. A ton of experience with these characters, a ton to 0. So for now, this is a very unsure rating of Norma. I think at the worst, I could put her in tier 1. I think there is maybe an argument to put her into tier 0. But again, I am very unsure about that because I don't have enough experience using her. Norma does a lot. She does a lot. She has a lot of personal damage. She gives you extra chain attacks. A lot of people will claim that she needs her W engine to be in tier 0. I think Norma is good enough without her W engine that she doesn't need it to be placed higher. Norma does a lot of off-field DPS. She has high days. And this is why it's... going back to Dialin. I don't know if this is true. Wait, not that. I don't know how true... I don't know how I feel about this. But I think with how good Norma is, you could make the argument that because of how good Norma is, Dialin loses her niche of being the best stun team, the best stunner for attack and rupture teams. Enough to the point where she drops in relative value. I think there is an argument for that. I think that discussion is interesting. Don't have enough experience using Norma and comparing her with Dialin to make a strong comparison there. I think Norma's fantastic. I think she's excellent. I think she's wonderful. I don't know if she's redefining the end game of Zenless. And that's why this is hard. I don't know if I think Dialin belongs in the redefined tier, or if there are enough teams where she actually drops into tier 1, and that's why we can argue to put her in tier 0.5. There are a couple teams where Dialin contributes more than Norma, and there are some teams where Norma contributes more than Dialin. But they are neck and neck with each other. This is not like Dialin's up here and Norma's down here. It's like, no. They are right next to each other. It's just, do I think Norma is redefining the game or simply excelling in the game? At the bare minimum, she's excelling, period. Like, this is the lowest she could possibly go for right now. Tier 0 because of the Bang Boo hat? That's a good point. All right. Again, the argument is not, do I think she's tier 0.5? The argument is, do I think she's tier 0? And if she is tier 0, does she have enough flaws that drop her down into 0.5? It's tough because Dylan, the way Dylan's kit is worded is that her damage increases based on the attack or rupture agent you're using, and Norma's is worded so that all the damage is coming from her. So the worse built your agents are, the better Norma is, and the better built your agents are, the better Dylan is in theory, in that theoretical place. So again, these two characters are neck and neck. I'm not exactly sure where to rate them because they are so close to each other. I don't think they both belong. I don't think they're both up here because I think this is, again, tier 0 should not be this crowded. It might be something like this or this or this and this. They're neck and neck. All right, that's it for stunners. Put you all back where you belong. Yeah, that's right. Oh, I didn't get to mention this with Lucia. I think it is incredibly scummy for the game to rerun Lucia and then 2 patches later give her out for free. A lot of people got FOMO'd into pulling Lucia for their Starlight Billy, and then they realized she was given away for free and they were very upset. I think that is incredibly frustrating, which is why I told people, maybe you shouldn't pull for this character on her rerun. You should wait a bit. It's very unfortunate. Fred Bread, she will be free in 3.1. You can choose to get her for free among 5 characters. So if you really wanted Lucia, you could have waited 2 months to get her for free. Or 2.5 months. I forget the exact timeline. Next up is the Rupture Agents. These are the first of the DPSs, and they're also the smallest class to talk about, so they'll be easier to discuss. I'm gonna rate Monato first. I think Monato, I think at bare minimum, Monato is tier 2. However, I think there are enough issues that work against Monato to argue him down into 2.5. Monato is a really good Rupture DPS against a couple of the Rupture fights. That's a joke because there are only 2 real Rupture fights. The biggest issue with Monato is that his range is very limiting, and there are a couple times when you will just start swinging away at enemies and they move away, and Monato will just start missing his best moves. That's very frustrating. The other frustrating thing is that this is not being rated exactly, but he has a very hard time keeping up his stacks of Yunquei Summit, or Yunquei Tails. It's Yunquei Tails. King of the Summit, Yunquei Tails. But the faction is called Yunquei Summit. But whatever. Yunquei Tails is hard to keep at full stacks on him because he doesn't ever have enough adrenaline to use his EX consistently. And there are a couple of times his assist follow-up will start missing because it does not have a very large range. And his attacks are very committal. So in one sense that's nice, convenient for players. Like, you can just commit to the move and not have to worry about getting hit out of his basic 2 and basic 4. But because of that, you also can't cancel them into your special, which is how you counter things. So again, I think he's a tier 2 agent, but has enough weaknesses and flaws to put him down into tier 2.5. Monato is really good. Make him tier 0 because he's the last A rank we get. That's another fun discussion. Because of the new system they have where you can just select whichever A ranks you want, we now have an A rank selector for banners. It's very possible they don't release another A rank. That's kind of troubling to think about. I don't know if that's going to be true, but they could just do that, because they did give us Pyroas for free, you know. What the next character they give away for free could be when they release Sunbringer, the Elder Sunbringer, because that's normally, they do that normally around the halfway point anyway. Like 2.0, Pan was essentially the free, quote unquote, free agent we got. And then we got Zhao for free in 2.5. Pyroas, you can't see him on screen, but Pyroas is the agent we got for free in 3.0. So like maybe 3.5, we get a free agent-ish? I don't know. Monato did come out in 2.3. At best, we will get a wind agent in like 3.3, 3.2. I would not be surprised if it's 3.3. But we will wait and see. Next up is Yixuan. Here's the problem with Yixuan. I'm putting her here right now because I want to talk about this. Also, I need to drink water. I think there is an argument in my heart of hearts. I think Yixuan, as of now, is a tier 1 agent. I think she thrives in the end game. I think she excels in the end game. I don't think right now we are at a point where she is redefining the end game of Zenless. However, I think there might be a compelling argument to put her in tier 0. You could argue, oh, but you know, when they come out with, when we bring back the Rupture bosses, that's when she's going to excel, because you know she's really good in the Rupture fights, like Miasma Priest. And that's a funny topic because, as I will show right now, let's look at these this supposed Rupture bosses in that we'll get in up and coming. Here is Miasmic Priest. You say, oh, this fight is suitable for Rupture agents. I don't know if you can see this very clearly, so I'll zoom in. This boss is suitable for Rupture agents. Then you read her defense, like, wait a second. She has... Miasma Priest has 953 defense. Just like every other boss. So how is this a boss for Rupture agents? It's not. It's not a boss for Rupture agents. Use literally anybody. It's fine. What is important is, oh, we got this buff buff Rupture agents, and then while in an Ether Veil, increase your Ether damage. Oh, that makes her tier 0. It's like, sure. And when this buff goes away in 2 weeks, she'll be right back to where she belongs. That is why I have a hard time rating this character. Like, in the wild chance that we get, hold on. In the off chance that we get a Rupture boss that is weak to Ether, who also has high defense, and that boss occurs semi-frequently, I do think Yixuan goes back and is a tier 0 agent in that fight. The problem is, that does not exist right now. So at best, maybe. I feel like people will get upset if I put her in tier 1. I think the highest she could possibly go right now is 0.5, because I think there is an argument to put her in tier 0. I don't know how good that argument is, though. That's the problem. I'll keep her there for now because I want to talk about the other agents as well. Then we got Yidhari. Yidhari's really good. I think she excels in the end game pretty well. I don't think she's redefining the game. There's not much else to say. She's a Rupture agent. She counters enemies. She does a lot of damage. She's pretty good. She's really good. Next up is Banyue. Banyue is also going in tier 1. Banyue is a little bit more difficult to play. I am assuming that this is a tier list. If you are looking at this tier list, I am assuming you are at the very least decent with these characters. I'm also not going to lower Banyue because you can't play him. It's like, oh, I can't play Banyue well at all, so he belongs down in tier 3. It's like, okay, that's like, I can play him pretty decently. He goes in tier 1. Like, I'm not trying to be insulting, but like, if you are struggling with an agent that is pretty good, that is higher effort, it is true that Banyue is higher effort than a character like Yidhari. My solution to that is figure it out. Like, if you are willing to put in the time and effort, then yeah, he goes into tier 1, period. The biggest issue with Banyue is his ability to generate his resources. He can have difficulty generating his wrathful fires and his decibels. But it is possible to work around them. And I've been able to do that pretty consistently. I'm not a fantastic Banyue player. I can play him pretty well, but not so well that I would never say I'm an expert, you know? Zhao, Nicole was rated based on playing her well. Like, she was in tier 2 based on playing her, and her debuff was active most of the time. The vast majority of the time. This was not, like, I mentioned the skill thing, but, like, if you're playing her well, I'm pretty sure she's in tier 2. I don't think she's defining the game. I don't think she's, thriving in the end game, but I still think she's really good. That's why she's in tier 2. Next up is Starlight Billy. Starlight Billy is another weird character issue where there is not a dedicated Rupture boss, because there are only 2 bosses with actual higher defense. It is Wandering Hunter, and then some other random creature that is weak to fire and ice, and resists electric. I forgot what it's called, but it's a Shiyu defense enemy. However, in their place, they said, you know what's a good alternative? I can find it over here. A good alternative is the Thrall. Hey, you like the Thrall, right? It's like, I guess. Hey, you like these really niche buffs for physical sheer damage? It's like, sure, I guess. In that context, it's like, yeah, I guess you could say he's tier 0. But, like, there is not a Rupture boss that is weak to physical in the game. We had a lot of shilling that we're just getting out of. So, like, in terms of, like, damage output, sure, Starlight Billy is slightly ahead of these 2. But I don't know if he's really belongs in tier 0 outside of that very niche argument of, what about the end of game Rupture shilling? It's like, yeah, but when that goes away, where does Starlight Billy go? We are kind of just waiting on them to actually make more Rupture bosses. So I personally want to put these 2 into tier 1 because I think they're really good, but I don't think they're redefining the game because we simply don't have enough real Rupture fights in the game. When we get those and they align with their attributes, yeah, I can easily put them into the higher. Why not? But as of right now, I personally want to do this. I think some people will be upset about that. So if you can make a compelling argument to put them in tier 0, I will gladly put them in tier 0.5. As of now, I don't think I want to put them there. That's it for the Rupture agents. Now let's go to the Anomaly agents. This is going to be a fun one because these are the brand... I'm talking about some brand new characters. Okay, so this is going to be weird because a lot of these agents rely on another agent who is at the very end of this list. So do you want me to rate that character first or actually go in order like I've been doing? I think I will go in order like I've been doing. This is Piper. I think Piper follows along really well in the endgame of Zenless. I don't think there's a team, like a regular Anomaly, a decently built Anomaly team, where Piper is going to struggle in that team. Now, there are teams Piper will struggle in, but those are normally like teams any character would struggle in, any Anomaly character would struggle in. I don't think that's fair for evaluating a character. To be like, oh, well, I have Ambi Ben. Piper's bad in that team. It's like, well, yeah, any Anomaly character would be bad in that team. That's not fair. Like, yeah, Piper's an A rank. You can pick her on the selector. She's incredible. She's really good. Her whole shtick is Anomaly buildup. And we have enough characters in the game now where you can either put her in a Disorder team if you want. You can put her in a Turbo Stun team with Yuzuha Nangong. You can put her in a team with Valina. Like, there are enough teams where Piper is really good. but I don't think she's defining the end game. Another way you can think about this is like find the MVP of the team, and if the MVP will no, I'm not gonna. I'll take that back because that might be a bit confusing. Piper is usually not the MVP of her teams, but she's still pretty good in her teams. That's why she's in tier 2. Piper barely ages because she's already a granny. That's a great point. Here is Grace. I am not too experienced with using Grace very well. Again, this is at Mindscape 2. Grace does debuff enemies, anomaly, electric resistance, and anomaly build-up stuff. I don't know how much better Grace is. At the highest, I could probably say she's in tier 2. I think she can follow along pretty well in the end game. I don't know. Maybe there are a couple teams that she struggles in, and for that reason, maybe I could put her down to 2.5. I am very inexperienced in this opinion, so I will ask you to forgive me if you think she's awful and terrible and she belongs in tier 3. I think there are enough teams that Grace can have. We have enough anomaly teams now where Grace is perfectly fine in those teams. I would probably put Piper over Grace, but again, these are not ordered within the tiers. Next up is Jane. Jane is getting her potential unlock. But before her potential is unlocked, let's put her in tier 2. Yeah, so Jane is a really good anomaly agent. The problem is that what she's really good at doing is not good enough to put her in the Jane is not defining the end game of Zenless. She is not excelling to the point where she is drastically beating out Piper right now. When her potential unlocks, maybe then we can have the discussion of putting her into tier 1. I don't know too much about potential unlock Jane. Actually, from what I've been hearing, because in the beta they've been showing us like Jane, Valina, Remio, like that's the team they've been showcasing. From what I've heard from some people, I haven't watched these runs, but I've heard that like Jane is not really doing as well as as the players are hoping she would be doing, and that's kind of funny. Like you're going through the effort to unlock this character's potential, and even then, it's like, does she even go up the tier? I think maybe with her potential unlock, we could argue her into tier 1, and then find reasons to drop her into 1.5. I will play it safe because again, I don't have too much experience using Jane. I know right now she is struggling to really to put herself above Piper for most teams. I think she could eventually go into tier 1, but I just don't have enough experience with the character or of asking the endgame players who do have Jane what their opinions are and their explanations for why she belongs in one of these two places. Now, if we're talking about Mindscape 2 Jane, oh yeah, put her up here. That's neat. No worries. Put her up here easily. If you have a Mindscape 2, put her up here. But this is not Mindscape 2 Jane. This is Mindscape 0 Jane. So I think she has to go down here. And even with her potential unlock, I don't know if she goes into tier 1. That's a guess. That's a guess. I am just guessing. Yeah, I do not expect Jane, based on this tier list, I do not think she will define the end game with her potential unlock. I still think she'll be really good. I think she'll be great. But I don't know if she will belong in tier 1 with the rest of those agents. Next is Bernice. Bernice is in a weird situation where they made a bunch of anomaly bosses that resist fire. And then they stopped doing that. So she goes into tier 2. We have enough anomaly teams where, by enough anomaly teams, I mean Valina. There are enough teams where you can just throw Bernice in, and yeah, she's pretty good. Now, granted, if you don't have Valina, maybe she drops down. it's probably fair to drop her down if you don't have... Then again, you could drop most of these characters if you don't have Valina, right? But I think you can concoct Bernice teams to the point where, yeah, I think it's fair to put her in tier 2. Maybe I could be argued down to tier 2.5 if we point out enough flaws, but I think it's fine enough to put her in tier 2. Now, without her potential unlock, yeah, put her in tier 3. But she has her potential unlock, so we can put her in tier 2. You can also use her with, again, Nangong Yuzaha. It's the tried and true, just slap a team together and call it a day. Next is Yanagi. This is going to be the same song and dance. As someone who does not have Yanagi, I have a lot of experience to talk about this. You can trust my opinion as someone who does not have this character. I think she goes in tier 2. I think we still have enough teams where Yanagi is perfectly fine, but I don't think she is defining the end game. You could argue that there are teams where she does struggle in, but I do think there are enough teams where she is following along with the end game fine enough. Maybe at the lowest, I could argue her down to tier 2.5 with a couple other characters. But just to be safe, I'm going to put her in tier 2. Omar, that's the funny thing. I've seen a couple runs where they play Yanagi with Valina. And those teams are still pretty good because Valina is still pretty good. There is a fun discussion to have if we include her Mindscape 2. I don't think her Mindscape 2 will push her up into the defining the end game or excelling in the end game. I think it is a safe pick to just put her in tier 2. Next is Miyabi. This is why we have the 0.5s. The reason we have the 0.5s is because of Miyabi. Miyabi goes in tier 0.5. Now you might say, what the heck? This isn't true. This can't be true. Get your comments out while I drink some water. So, thank you for all your comments. Why would I put Miyabi in tier 0.5? Because there is a compelling argument to put her in tier 0. Whenever they release a boss or rerun a boss from season 1 that it can be frozen, Miyabi just dumpsters the boss. Miyabi completely makes that boss a trash can. She takes it out and she slaps it. That boss can't do anything with Miyabi. In a mono ice team, Miyabi dumpsters fights when a boss can be frozen. And we have enough bosses rerunning that can be frozen. However, when those bosses disappear, then Miyabi can't do that. And then Miyabi drops down. That is why she is in tier 0.5. There is a compelling, reasonable argument to put her in tier 0, but she is not on the same... She has enough flaws to not make her consistently in tier 0. I think upcoming in this Deadly Assault, I don't know if you guys can see it. I'll try to scroll to it. We are going to get Notorious Dead End Butcher, and guess what? This guy can be frozen. So in version 3.1, when Deadly Assault comes out, Miyabi will dumpster this fight. And in that fight, yeah, Miyabi's tier 0. When there are no freezable bosses, it's like, oh, then like Miyabi can't really do things. She can't be as good anymore. So like maybe you put her down to like tier 2. But there are enough bosses and fights in the game where she is tier 0. That's why she's in tier 0.5. Next up is Vivian. Vivian's kind of in the same song and dance with all these other agents. I think Vivian's perfectly fine. I think she's following along with the end game pretty well. The issue with, again, with anomaly agents, which we will get to very, very soon. The issue with anomaly agents is that they're all just kind of in the same boat because a lot of the end game is designed around a couple of these characters down here. And these guys are just kind of tagging along. They're pretty good at tagging along, but they are not defining the end game in any meaningful way. I could maybe be argued down to tier 2.5, but I don't have enough experience with Vivian to be like, oh, she's actually terrible in these teams. That's a personal thing, though. If you would love to put her in tier 2.5, by all means, that's perfectly fine. I don't have enough experience in that. I think for Alice, where do I put Alice? I was struggling with this opinion of, do I put Alice into tier 1 or tier 2? And the question is, do I think Alice is defining the end game for the anomaly agents right now? And I think the answer is no. So that's why I would not put her in tier 1. Now, again, if we're talking about Mindscape 2 Jane, well, that changes the math on some things. But Alice is not Mindscape 2 Jane. Jane is Mindscape 2 Jane. And even this is Mindscape 0 Jane. So I think Alice is pretty good. But she's not so good that she is defining the end game right now. But she is following along pretty well. Yes, Alice is better than all of these agents. But all of these agents have a character who works with them even better. It's hard to rate these anomaly agents individually, again, because, like, we're going to talk about her real quick. But, like, in the context of anomaly teams, there is no, like, one individual agent that is the only contributing member of the team. They are all working together. And so it's hard to isolate each individual member of that team. Alice also does have a team where you can just, like, not use Jane. Like, pretty much all these characters, you can use Nangong Yuzuha. That's a really strong shell you can use with pretty much half of these characters. I could, again, I am not too sure about the argument to put her in tier 1. I'd be happy to maybe put her in tier 1. I'm just very unsure about that. And the rest of there are a couple other characters I will get to that will go in tier 1. So for now, I'm putting Alice in tier 2. I think she is a very high, obviously she's higher than Piper in tier 2, but I don't think she is thriving in the end game right now. Next up is Arya. Arya's, I think she's really good. I think she's great. She has really high anomaly buildup, and we have a ton of teams where her burst anomaly playstyle is exceptionally good. And that's why she goes in tier 1. Arya's anomaly buildup is just the way she gets her glow sticks is just really good. There's never been a point where it's like, man, I'm out of energy and glow sticks. I can't do anything. She gets them so easily. I don't have too much to say about Arya. I don't think she's too complicated of a character to talk about. I think the most important member of Arya's teams is not Arya herself. I don't think she's redefining the game. But in the team she's in, she is really good. Like, exceptionally good. Next is Promia. This is going to be a shot in the dark. I do not have Promia. So I cannot give a strong argument for or against this. I am going to put her in tier 1 and say I think that's where she goes based on the experience I've seen of watching other people use her, watching a couple endgame runs. Not a couple, but more than a couple. But I do not have Promia, so I cannot say on first-hand experience she's definitely here. I know she's pretty good. Maybe she could be argued down to 1.5. I don't know. From how I've heard people who know more than me talk about this, Arya and Promia are kind of similar enough to be placed together. But I don't think Promia is redefining the game around her. That's why she's in tier 1. Next is Velena. Velena's in tier 0. This should not be a surprise to anybody. Velena is the best of all of these agents. Oh my gosh. Velena's only here because she's a wind agent, and because she has a stranglehold on the wind attribute, every other anomaly agent has to cater to Velena. It is actually insane. And that's why it's really hard to rate all of these characters. All these characters are just kind of here because, like, obviously you can use Nangong, Yuzuha in their teams. Actually, I'll put Nangong, Yuzuha up here to remind people where I put them. Now, you can make any of these characters really good with most of these characters. Really good with Nangong, Yuzuha. You can also make them really good with Valina. Valina is just... How do I phrase this? Valina is mainly here because of Wind itself. As we get more Wind agents who can do similar enough things to Valina, Valina will drop in relative value. Not because she herself is bad, but because she will no longer have a stranglehold on an entire attribute. As Spicy Tofu just mentioned, yes, when I talked about DPS Nangong, one thing I didn't mention was I did a run with Nangong, Yuzuha, Valina. This team pretty much dumpsters any fight. You do not have Valina's additional, and that doesn't really matter. This team just does a lot. Nangong is your on-field DPS, Yuzuha is your sub DPS, and Valina is also your other sub DPS. This team is just really good. Her mechanic is Wind Bernice, as Omar has mentioned. The difference is that Wind is really, really good right now. And until they start making content where Wind is not very good, she will be in tier 0. We need bosses who are basically say, you can't deal any wind damage to me, or bosses or agents that just also say, I am Valina but a support, or I'm Valina but a stunner, right? Until we get those, Valina will occupy tier 0. Last but not least, not Promea. Retake that. Last but not least, Remiel. I have not played Remiel, so I have no idea where exactly she belongs. So this is a guess. This is an educated guess. Do I think Remiel is as important for anomaly teams as Nangong, as for Yuzuha, or as Valina? And the answer is no. I don't think Remiel redefines what anomaly teams can do. Because what Remiel does is she is an agent designed for triple anomaly teams. So she is very niche. In return, though, you do get a much higher attack buff, and her whole thing of Luminize lets her change her attributes to that of the other agents. That's pretty good. The problem is that that's just what Yuzuha does. Yuzuha already gives your team a lot of attack. She already changes the attribute of her anomaly buildup to match that of agents. And Yuzuha is good in pretty much every team. Remiel isn't. You cannot throw Remiel into every team and she be good. You can throw Yangong. You can throw Yuzuha into any team and Yuzuha will be good. Remiel is not that character. I think she will define the endgame of Zenless for a pretty long time. I don't know if she's good enough to go into tier 0. Again, that's a guess because I've not had a chance to play this character. And I think a lot of people, what we've been showcased a lot is Jane, Valina, Remiel in the 3.1 live streams and stuff. And that's what they have in the beta as well to play with. I think the most important character in those teams is Valina. Period. And next after that is Remiel. And next after that is Jane. Because if you don't have Remiel, what you do is you have Yuzuha, who is going to be on the rerun banner. And Yuzuha will still take the place of these characters, and you will still be doing pretty much the exact same things. And that's why I don't think I can rate Remiel as of right now, based on my experience, or I should say lack of experience using Remiel. I can't in good conscience place her as a character who redefines the endgame of Zenless. Now, she's still really good, again. She is thriving. She is defining the endgame. But she is not redefining the endgame. If you already have Yuzuha, then you will kind of be like double dipping it. I guess now you can make 2 really good anomaly teams, but if you're looking for just 1 really good anomaly team and you already have Yuzuha, I don't think Remiel helps you too much with that. That's a personal take. I will need to have more experience using the character, but that's it for the anomaly agents. Again, this is kind of janky because if we take Valina out of the picture, this list changes entirely. But because Valina's here, a lot of the other agents it's hard to talk about these agents in isolation because like, oh, well, I'll just ignore that Valina exists. It's like, okay, but like, even without Valina, we have Nangong Yuzuha. And like, you can just create, even if you don't have Nangong, you can also like throw in Lycon for Arya or throw in Lycon for Promea. Like, there are enough teams where these agents are not like, I don't think any of these agents belong in tier 3. And that's why they're kind of all in tier 2. Anyway, that's it. That's it for the anomaly agents. Now for the largest class, attackers. Alan Walker. I play with semantics to argue that Remiel is not tier 0. Sure. I think Remiel will still be really good. I just don't think she'll be better than I don't think she is in tier 0 the same way that Yuzuha and Nangong are tier 0. Because again, Nangong, you can just toss her with Suna, and she's an incredible stunner for attack teams. You can't do that with Remiel. You can't throw Remiel into an attack team and like that. She doesn't want that team. And again, also, I think supports are just better in general than DPSs, because you can have great supports that will really elevate your DPSs. It's hard to find a DPS who really elevates your supports. Now let's boost up the attackers now, and I will go restate some things for people who came in later. The way the 0.5s work is not, I think this agent belongs in 0.5. The way the 0.5 works is that I believe this agent belongs in tier 0. If you do not have a compelling, reasonable argument to put them in tier 0, then they cannot be placed in 0.5. That is how that works. And if you can't make that argument, then they can't be put up there. You have to drop them down, period. That is how my rating works. By you, I mean like the royal you. Me, us, that sort of thing. So if you say, oh, I think the Soldier 11 is tier 2.5. No. You have to argue that she's tier 2. And then we can find flaws in her kit or her gameplay or teams to put her in tier 2.5. That is how that works. All right, so I'm going to add this now because we're going to have it later. This is the tier 1.5 for these characters, because I think these characters, some of them actually do have an argument. Some of them are like tier 1, but you could argue them down to tier 2. They have enough flaws to be put there. And so I think tier 1.5 is fair. So I'll do this now. First up is Billy, A rank Billy. I think Billy struggles in the game, period. That's it. Like, there's not much else to say. I think he struggles. But next up is Corrin. I think Corrin is also pretty good, but I still think she struggles a lot. Now, here's the funny thing. If we were really taking agents in a vacuum and evaluating them individually, Solo Billy is actually pretty good. Solo Corrin is awful. You have seen me do Solo Billy stuff because Solo Billy can't actually do things. You will never catch a Corrin main doing Solo Corrin stuff because Solo Corrin is awful. Now, because we have teams of 3, the teams you are using with Corrin cover up her weaknesses. So that's not going to be an issue. I think Corrin is pretty good. We have also had a lot of physical weak enemies recently. I think those are kind of dying down a little bit. So I think Corrin has been pretty good in her best teams. I don't know if she is good enough to be placed in tier 2. I still think it's a bit of a struggle to use Corrin, but she is a very high tier 3. Very high tier 3. I could maybe be convinced to put her in tier 2, and then we could drop her down maybe to tier 2.5. But as of now, I think tier 3 is a fair placement. Next is Nekomata. This is Nekomata. I'm doing the physical agents together just because it makes sense. Nekomata, this is at Mindscape 2 because she's a standard agent. It's more likely that you can get this. The issue with Nekomata is that Nekomata's kit right now, you would think she cares about back attacks. And then you read what she does and you're like, wow. So she doesn't actually do anything with back attacks. It's only her W engine and her Mindscape 1. I think Nekomata is good enough to, at bare minimum, be placed in tier 3. And when she gets her potential unlock, this is not I'm not going to spoil what the character does. As in, like, I'm not going to spoil the gameplay of the character, but hold on a moment while I boot this up. Nekomata's getting a new move. I'm going to switch windows for this real quick. This new move has a damage multiplier of 2,527 at rank 12. That's really high. So yeah, that's a big number. Big number do big damage. So I think when Nekomata gets her potential unlock, I think I could bump her up. I could see an argument to bump her up into tier 2. And maybe we could argue her back down to tier 2.5. And yes, even at base, at Mindscape 2, she is stronger than Corrin. So here's the way this works. Corrin in teams, in their best teams, Corrin is better than Billy. Outside of their best teams, there are some teams where Billy is a very independent agent who kind of does whatever he wants. Corrin is a very team-dependent agent. So you have a really bad team, Corrin performs much worse. If you have a really good team, Corrin performs much better. And Nekomata at Mindscape 2 does perform better than both of them. But not so much better that she goes without her potential unlock, that I think I could put her into tier 2. She will still struggle a bit. One of Nekomata's biggest issues is the range of her attacks and, like, the weird way of how you have to use a dash attack between her, or a regular basic in between her EXs because she'll be too far away. But with her potential unlock, I think I can definitely put her up here. Based on the very limited information that I have right now. This is Anton. Anton is a character who is sometimes in tier 3 if you play him in the right team and he doesn't leave his burst mode. And when you play him in a team where he does leave his burst mode, he's in tier 4. That's why he goes in tier 3.5. When you have the right team and he doesn't leave burst mode, he's actually pretty good. But that is very hard to do, and he struggles to do that. Terox, I do think Corrin's best team is Dial and Suna. I don't know about Norma. I don't know how that math works out. They should be really close. I don't think it's going to be like the difference maker between like 20k and 50k, obviously. Yeah, Anton without burst mode is a B rank agent. But there are times when Anton is in burst mode, and you can cheat the system so that he stays in burst mode. Sometimes he's in tier 3, sometimes he's in tier 4. That's why he's in 3.5. Soldier 11. Soldier 11 is another character I think belongs in tier 2. But I think I want to argue her down to 2.5. And that is because Soldier 11's range is still an issue. There are a couple fights, I said this for Monato. Monato's issue is that there are a couple moves he has where he will just miss because enemies do not stay still. Soldier 11 has a similar issue. Her range is not very good on her basics. And that's like kind of the main focus of her damage. The difference between that and Nekomata is that Nekomata's basics don't really matter for her damage. Soldier 11 does. If you miss with Nekomata's basics, you're kind of annoyed, but that's perfectly fine. If you miss with Soldier 11's... Did I say that right? Did I say Nekomata? If you miss with Nekomata's basics, that's kind of annoying, but you're kind of alright with that. If you miss with Soldier 11's basics, that's really annoying, and you really don't like that. In my run with... If you watch one of my more recent videos, I did Soldier 11, but it was X23. It was a Marvel vs. Capcom 3 video. There are a couple fights in Starlight Billy where he will just run circles around Soldier 11 and you will just miss. When he's in his motorcycle, Soldier 11 just does not have the range to hit him with her basics. It is kind of frustrating. Now, if we take into account Mindscape 1, Soldier 11, then we can say, oh, her damage is high, but she still has a range issue, so we could argue her down. But at Mindscape 2, I still think I don't think she has enough damage in her kit, and she still struggles with her range enough where she will just miss on the attacks that you really want to connect with. And the difference is I don't think Nekomata with her potential unlock will be missing with her high powered damage moves. Based on how little I know. So this is Ellen. Ellen without her potential, Ellen was the first character released in the game. And when Ellen released in the game, you can actually play this character now. If you play Ellen as she was released, she does belong in tier 4. Launch Ellen is really bad. And if you disagree with me, that's totally fine. I encourage you to go to the game right now, boot up Ellen, turn off her potential unlock, and play her. Potential unlock Ellen is really bad. Yes, she's worse than Anton. Yes, she's worse than Corrin. Yes, she's worse than Billy. We proved this. The teams where we had Corrin and Billy were consistently out-damaging Ellen in neutral matchups. But Ellen does have a potential unlock, so that's why she goes into tier 2. I think she follows along pretty well with the meta. I don't think she defines it. I don't think she's thriving in it. But I don't think she's so bad that she's struggling. And that's why she goes into tier 2. The biggest issue is she still kind of has to charge up her moves. If you don't have her Mindscape 1, of course. Mindscape 1 makes it a bit easier to keep more flash freeze charges. But overall, I think she's perfectly fine in tier 2. She's pretty good. She's not so awful that you can't do stuff. Maybe her personal damage is on the lower side. So maybe that's an argument to put her in tier 2. 2.5, I mean. But I think she is okay in tier 2, right where she is. Terox, yes, you can turn off potential unlocks. Let me show that real quick. Because this will be relevant for a character. You go to the Agents tab.
You want to become a hero too?
You go to Ellen.
Time for some
You go to Base. You go to Skills. Which one is it in? You go to this number here. You can't see it because I turned it off. I thought you could... there is a way... I thought there was a way to turn these off. I can't remember. There was before. I know there was before. Did they get rid of that? It's under the skills page. Okay. Oh, right. It's under here. You can't see it because my face is in the way. Down here in the skills page, it says activate potential. You turn this off, and Ellen becomes the worst DPS in the game. But we will turn this back on. Oh, let me go back to that storage screen. Maybe not worse. Actually, no, worse than Ben, because Ben can actually use his be a counter DPS. Ellen barely functions in getting her flash freeze charges. She will get hit out of everything, and enemies are simply too fast in this game now. At launch, enemies were a lot slower. They were not as active. But now that enemies are much more active, launch Ellen is down here, and potential unlock Ellen is probably somewhere around here. Now for Juyen. I think Juyen is a struggle agent. There is a way to maximize her damage output. It's really fun. There are a couple guys from a creator. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but I did show him in my live stream. His name was like SC Sweater or something. But there are a couple of Juyen players who are pretty good at maximizing this character's damage output. But even then, I still think she will struggle to do a lot of things. Yeah, Sweater SC. Thank you, Terox. He is a really good Juyen guide if you want to get into Juyen. Now, the best thing about Juyen is that she will be a character you could potentially get if you lose on the 50-50. The problem is that everyone has this character, and this character just is substantially better than her. And so it's tough competition. That doesn't mean you can't use her. I'm not rating her low because of Pyroas. Even if Pyroas weren't in the game, I would still place her down here. She struggles getting a lot of her bullets, or not bullets. She can struggle getting her resources, and then the way her kit works is that it really buffs that resource and only that resource. When there are other parts of her kit you wish got buffed instead. So it buffs her enhanced basic and dash attacks, but not like her chain attack, not her ultimate, not her EX. And with potential unlocks, a lot of them have been saying, hey, Ellen has buffed basics, but what if we also buffed her chain and her ultimate and other moves? If Juyen got that, then yeah, she'd probably be rated higher. But she doesn't have that. Now, eventually you could become lucky or unlucky enough to get a Mindscape 6 Juyen. I still don't know if I would put her in the tier 2 category. That's a fun discussion, but I will pass on that for now. Harumasa. Okay. I am going to be... I don't know how to rate this character properly. Because my experience in playing Harumasa is only playing him in joke teams. So if I can find a thumbnail that I made a long time ago for this, I can show y'all what I mean. Which one was it? It was 2.3? Here it is. Found it. So here's my best experience using Harumasa is in a team like this. So, this is not a good team for Harumasa. Jock Fei, this tier list answers the question, or the statement, these agents blank the endgame of ZZZ. And each tier answers the statement to that. Best Nozomi, that team still doesn't have Harumasa's additional. That's why he had a not happy, very unhappy face. I think Harumasa belongs in tier 1. However, I do not have enough personal experience using Harumasa to make this as a strong statement. So in my fear, in my terror, part of me wants to put him down to 1.5. If I do that, though, I know R2 will call me a coward. Let me do what I did last time for the anomaly agents, give some context for the ratings for these other characters that are adjacent, relevant for attacker conversations. Where's Dylan? I'm not gonna put Norma because that people might get upset about that. So Harumasa's best team is, according to R2, Harumasa's best team is Harumasa, Dylan, Yuzuha, and that is the exact same team that is rerunning. So, Harumasa just has a lot of teams he can be put into because his team builds are so technically generic. And as soon as we get an agent who, like a win support, that will also open up new things for Harumasa's anomaly buildup and stun teams. That is why I can say that Harumasa belongs in tier 1. I just don't have enough personal experience using Harumasa well. But I know for a fact he does not belong in tier 2. He does not follow along with the meta. I think there are enough teams where he really thrives. He excels in those teams pretty well. So I think bare minimum he belongs in tier 1, and I'm just not sure if I should put him in tier 1 or tier 1.5. For now, I will put him in 1.5 for these upcoming characters we will talk about. and then we can move him again later, because that might be fun. Evelyn. Evelyn's pretty good. I think Evelyn follows along the end game pretty well. One of the biggest issues with Evelyn is that we are just getting her power level is just not quite what it is compared to the rest of the new DPSs. But she's not so bad that I think she belongs down here. Her attacks hit pretty well. She's pretty good. I think she can keep up pretty well, especially if you have the newest DPSs. Like if you have Norma and Suna, like I can't imagine Evelyn being terrible in a Norma Suna team. Mine's 60. Hold your horses. I will get to that. I will talk about the rest of Electric Attackers. Don't you worry. It's a fun discussion. Next is Soldier Zero Ambi. I think Soldier Zero Ambi is a tier 1 agent, but I think she's a tier 1 agent with a very specific team setup that she wants. If we're talking about unpotential unlocked Soldier Zero Ambi, she's probably like down here-ish, because I think she's okay, but she struggles a lot. And unpotential unlocked Haramasa is probably down here as well. But her potential is unlocked, so I will guesstimate that she belongs kind of in this region. The biggest issue with her is that she wants... Do I spoil this now or spoil this later? It involves Cecilia. I'll spoil it now because I think it's funny. Hold on a moment. As I find these pictures... Okay, so, I did a run recently today. And this is a score I got. This is a pretty, reasonable score for this team. Not too great, not too bad. Pretty good. This is Soldier Zero Ambi Trigger Suna. And if you saw me do another one of my more recent videos, I did Soldier Zero Ambi Trigger Orphe, and it got about the same similar kind of score. But then I did another run where I used Cecilia. And, well, yeah, this score is a bit lower, That's because Soldier Zero Ambi is better, right? No. It's because my Soldier Zero Ambi...
You want to become a hero too?
Standing by.
looks like this. That's a Mindscape 2. This is a potential unlock 2. That wouldn't really change where she's placed. And she has her W engine. This is my Cecilia. Mindscape 0 Brimstone. So if you go back to that picture, this is kind of an issue. Yeah, that's not a great look for Soldier Zero Ambi. I'm sorry. This is why it's like, do I think Soldier Zero Ambi, Mindscape 0, is a tier 1 agent? Yes, in a very specific team. I could argue her into tier 1. But I don't think she is on the same power level as the other agents in tier 1. That is why she would drop down to 1.5, period. Pearl fan, you did not watch one of my more recent videos where I used Orphe and got that score. It's around this same number here. Granted, it's a bit harder to judge Shiyu defense scores because of how the timer system works and whatnot. Omar, you're more than welcome to prove me wrong. I would love for players to prove me wrong. That'd be fun. But based on my experience using this character, even in her best team, which is Orphe, again, Orphe does not have her W engine in my team, but that should not be a factor when she's Mindscape 2. In my experience, Soldier Zero Ambi is a tier 1 agent that requires or wants a very specific team. And when you don't have that very specific team, I don't think she is good enough to be among the rest of the characters in tier 1. So she will drop down a bit to tier 1.5. Next up is Hugo. Hugo is a character that I think follows along the meta pretty well. The problem with Hugo is that Hugo is quite literally a hit or miss character. There are a couple setups where Hugo turbo stomps things in the game, and a couple setups where Hugo will struggle to do basically anything. And in those teams, I think at best, maybe I could put him in tier 1 and then say he has enough flaws to be tier 1.5. Personally, I think he belongs in tier 2, which is good. I think he follows along the end game pretty well. And then there are a couple fights where he will struggle a bit more than others. So if he can overcome those struggles, obviously he's tier 2. When he doesn't overcome those struggles, I think he will drop down more than others. This is why this sentence is really important up here. I think Hugo follows along the end game pretty well. But there are a couple fights he struggles more than others. So that's why he will be lower than the rest of these characters. Hugo will get a potential unlocked very soon. Trust you? I wouldn't be surprised. This is Seed. Seed is another character who is a tier 1 agent. In theory, Seed is an attack DPS who can be played alongside any other attack agent. The problem is that we do not have enough attack agents for that to be a thing to put her in tier 1. If you do not have, so in most, you've probably heard how I phrase this. You've probably heard this before. Cecilia is in tier X if you have Seed. I think the other way around is true. Seed is only in tier X if you have Cecilia. If you don't have Cecilia, then Seed is much weaker. So for that reason, I think it is fair to put Seed in tier 1.5. Good night, Pearl. And this begs the question, which of these electric attack agents do I think is the best? It's like, well, in the best builds of these teams, maybe Seed is? I don't have Seed, so obviously, as a player who doesn't have Seed, I have the experience to talk about this. I would probably say so the difference is, Haramasa is a highly skill-intensive character. Using Haramasa really well requires you to hone a lot of skills throughout the game, including but not limited to anomaly buildup, chain attack timing, stun windows, team buildings, specific like team moves that do a certain amount of days or anomaly buildup. It's really fun to play around. But if you don't hone those skills, he obviously drops in value. I will assume you will get semi-decent at those builds, at those skills. Not perfect. None of this is requiring perfect skill execution. And then Seed is like, well, yeah, you can play Seed with Yesheng Wang. And that team might even be okay, but that team is not okay because of Seed. Yeah, I'm not sure my gut is telling me that Haramasa has more teams where he is better than these characters to put him higher. But like, because again, I showed like Soldier Zero Ambi is with a Trigger and Suna. You can play her with Trigger. Orphe, you don't even have to use Trigger, but Trigger does mean make her get more of her white marks quicker. Or X marks or whatever it's called. No, Haramasa X marks. Soldier Zero Ambi white marks or white star marks, whatever it's called. I don't care. It doesn't matter. I'll leave this for now and come back to if I feel differently later, because we will get to a tier 1 agent soon. This is Orphe. I think Orphe can follow along pretty well, even in non-Aftershock teams. Orphe is an Aftershock sub DPS. But you can also play her without that, and she can kind of do okay. You can force a team around like force a team with. She is Orphe. I meant Norma. You can force her in a team with Norma. You can force her in a team with Lighter, and those teams are pretty decent. If those teams did not exist, yeah, I would drop her down probably here, but I think there are enough generalist teams where you can throw in Orphe and she will be okay. So I think she can follow along pretty decently. Maybe not as well as some of these other characters. I think she is at the lower end of this tier 2. But I don't think she has like flaws with range like Soldier 11, or flaws like Hugo, where if your team can't stun the enemy, then Hugo really can't do anything. Orphe doesn't have those flaws, so I would not argue her down. And that's it for Orphe. Here's Cecilia. Cecilia is the tier 1 attacker. Out of all the electric agents, Cecilia is the best, period. As I just showed, I don't even have Cecilia's W engine. There was a time when I was saying that Seed was better than Cecilia. I believe that because I was building Cecilia incorrectly. And when I realized what her best build was with the resources that I had, I realized that, oh no, this is actually makes Cecilia really good now. The other thing Cecilia does is Cecilia props up other agents in a way that other characters don't. Like, yeah, Orphe buffs Aftershock DPSs. All one of them. We have one Aftershock DPS. Cecilia is an electric attacker who buffs up pretty much any electric agent that is that would like to be paired with her. Qingyi is a better stunner because of Cecilia. Like, Cecilia Qingyi is a core you can use that is pretty good against most bosses that are weak to electric. You just stun the enemy so quickly with this team. I'm just using that as a specific example. You can use Hyper Carry Cecilia. You can put her as like a sub DPS for one of these 3 characters, if you feel like it. I've done it before. It's not that good, but it's not bad. And because of that, I think Cecilia really does define and thrive in the endgame of Zenless. As we get, and because it's tied to an attribute, and we have a critical mass of that attribute, I think Cecilia does really well. She will only get better the more electric agents we get. Now, granted, if we just stop getting electric agents in general, and the endgame is just full of electric resistant enemies, then yeah, she will drop in value, as will any other character like that. But for now, I think putting her lower than tier 1 would be silly. Next is Pyroas. Pyroas goes in tier 1. This guy just does everything. This guy is the guy. And the best part is he's available for free, and we're going to get his Mindscape 6 eventually. Whatever that does, I have no clue. This dude has a lot of ults. He's got a parry. He's got an enhanced basic attack that he can do out of pretty much every move in his kit. Yeah, Pyroas is just the guy, dude. Like, he's got 4 ults. One of them doesn't do anything right now. Pyroas is kind of waiting for a wind support to do contamination stuff, kind of. We do get his W engine for free. I'm not rating him highly because of that. But yeah, Pyroas is just that guy. Like, he is only going to get better. He has so many generic teams you can just slot him with. You can use him with Jafufu, or Norma, or Dialin, or Niangong with Suna. You can use him with Astra. You can use him with Nicole. Like, he just has a lot of generic teams that he will just do pretty well in. That he will not do pretty well, that he will excel in. It's hard to think of a team where, like, no, this team's actually terrible unless the team itself is already not good. Throw Yuzuha in his team. That's perfect. Dragiris, that's a great question. Contamination is the wind thing that, like, Pyroas's left ult basically says you deal more damage when the enemy has, like, contamination, I think. This is off the top of my head. And then contamination is the debuff enemies have when they're under the wind anomaly, I think. It's like when you trigger windswept, the enemy now is contaminated, I think. I might be wrong about that. But So the problem with that is that we don't have enough wind agents in the game for Pyroas to do anything with that. So as we get, again, maybe someone could argue me that he has flaws to be knocked down to tier 1.5. You could not convince me that he is only following the end game. Pyroas is dumpstering pretty much every attack boss in this game. Maybe not dumpstering, but he's doing exceptionally well. I did just do a run with Pyroas, Kaleda, Suna against, what's his face? Pompeii? He's pretty good. He's pretty good. I'm going to cheat the system. I'm going to talk about Sigrid first. Sigrid has not released yet. I have not had a chance to play her. From my bare minimum understanding of the character, she will probably be in tier 1 at the bare minimum. She will be an ice DPS who has enhanced basic attacks and does a lot of other things. Yeah, that's about it. I think she will thrive in the end game. I don't think she will redefine what attackers are doing. Maybe Roxy will be the win support. Maybe. That's possible. And not last, but certainly not least, it's her, the Void Hunter character. Okay, so this character is a tier 0 agent. When you have Dylan and or Suna and or Zhao. The problem is that when you put her in a team that does not, when your account does not have any of these 3 characters, Yeshonguang is substantially worse. If you have a team, if you have an account that does not have those 3 characters, she probably is in tier 1. If you have an account with these 3 characters, she is entering her enlightened state every 20 seconds-ish, even faster than that. And she just dumps all of her damage very easily. So for that reason, it's like, wait, so she is so dependent on a niche, on a very select group of agents. Does that mean she belongs in tier 0? Or does that mean she belongs in tier 1? In comparison, Nekomata does not have any of those issues. Nekomata has much more team options where she will do pretty much the same thing she's still doing. Whereas Yeshonguang, if you do not have these 3 specific agents, she will be doing much less because she just does not get enough ether veils to be in her enlightened state the entire fight. What if you have Lucia? Here's the funny thing. Lucia refreshes her ether veil. Yeshonguang wants new ether veil activations. Zhao reactivates her ether veil. Suna activates an ether veil, and Dylan just gives an ult, which is basically her ether veil. Lucia and Yidhari as well reactivate or refresh their ether veil. They do not activate it again. So that's why Lucia is not very good with her. The other issue is that, like, Cecia's... The dark horse in this discussion is Cecilia. Because Cecilia... I know all of you forgot about this because it doesn't matter for anything. Cecilia does have an ether veil. But Cecilia and Yeshonguang do not want to be in the same teams, so it doesn't matter. This is why it's like, I think, just to be safe, there are some players who only pull for Void Hunters and no one else. There are enough players who pulled for Yeshonguang. So there are enough accounts that you could definitely argue someone pulled for Yeshonguang and they did not have any of these 3 characters for her. And in that team, is Yeshonguang tier 0? No. I don't think Yeshonguang is tier 0. With the rest of the characters... How do I phrase this? Sorry. Phrasing. I don't think Yeshonguang, without these 3 characters, redefines the endgame of Zenless. I think she's still really good. I think she excels in the endgame because of her enlightened state. And the more you can get into that enlightened state, the more meta-defining she is. But when you can't do that, she is not redefining the game. She's defining it, but not redefining it. The game is not warping around her when she is not able to constantly enter her enlightened state. So because of that, I think with a heavy heart, I'm putting her in tier 0.5. I would like, again, she is still tier 0. I just know there's there's a very obvious compelling argument to put her in tier 0. However, I can very easily construct a team where she goes in tier 0.5. Because again, it's reliant on 3 limited agents. If you do not have any of these 3 limited agents, Ye Xiongguang will suffer substantially. Now, to be fair, I did not mention this with the anomaly teams. You could say the same thing with the anomaly teams. Like, oh, if you don't have Yuzuha and Nangong and Valina, then none of these characters are that good. It's like, that's true, that's fair. And that's why this is a hard discussion for me. Because again, Ye Xiongguang is the star of her teams. But as soon as you remove the supporting cast from her team, she suffers immensely. So, bare minimum, she's tier 1. In her best team, she's tier 0. And then there's like a uncanny valley in between where I'm not sure where she belongs. To satiate the desires of the people, I think I will keep her in tier 0. But just understand, I really want to put her in tier 0.5. Because I think that'd be funny. But yeah, by far, she is tier 0. If anyone thinks I'm undervaluing her, no. She is in the tier 0 because she's tier 0. It's just, the question is, what agents do you have on your account? Do you have Suna? No. Do you have Zhao? No. Do you have Dylan? No. Oh, then she's not there. Do you have Suna? Oh yeah. Do you have Zhao? Yeah. Oh yeah, then she's tier 0, of course. That's the tier list. That's all the agents. Also, the other thing is that the stronger that Nekomata becomes, the less groundbreaking Ye Xiongguang is. Because Nekomata has much more flexible teams where she will be able to deal her ideal damage. And Ye Xiongguang is much more limiting. And as we get new supports who don't have anything to do with Ether Veil, Nekomata will go up in relative value. And Ye Xiongguang will kind of stay exactly where she is. Because she cannot pivot to new characters unless they activate Ether Veils. Or they just or they're like Dylan, we're just, here's your ultimate again. Unless we get a support that is just, I'm going to activate your ultimate again, then maybe, yeah, sure, that's fine. Yeah, as Dragiris has mentioned, potential unlock Nekomata, Mindscape 6, Steel Cushion rank 5. Might be a tier 1 agent. Might be able to put Ye Xiongguang to shame. Which is a good thing for players. Like, I warned you, like, hey, be careful. Maybe, like, be cautious about pulling for this character. Because look at that. They unlocked Nekomata's potential right after. And if you are lucky or unlucky enough and you have a Mindscape 6 Nekomata, she will probably do really well. Really well. It's not that Astro. It's not that Ye Xiongguang is on fraud watch. It's that Ye Xiongguang is a niche, overpowered character. Kind of like Miyabi. Miyabi is in the exact same category for a different reason. Miyabi is in here because she has a very accessible team that elevates her power to extreme potential. The problem is she is reliant on enemies who can be frozen. Ye Xiongguang is a character who completely dumpsters on pretty much every enemy in the game, but she is reliant on a very select group of supports and who reactivate Ether Veils and or activates her ultimate. And when she doesn't have them, then she does not really perform as well as she could. And that's it for the tier list. That's all the agents. Look at that. That wasn't so hard. And again, none of these agents are not ordered within the tiers. They are just in the tier where they belong. That's it. That's all I had planned. I can do some other stuff too. Field some questions from the chat. There were a lot of people chatting. I probably didn't see your chat. I'm very sorry. I'm locked in and focused. I can actually show off Ellen without her potential unlocked to prove the point that she's not a good character. Sigrid, Rose, Sophia, Suna. I don't know why I'm ordering them now. It doesn't really matter. But yeah, that's it. I'm going to do my outro for my video that I'm going to make for this. Yeah, that's the tier list. That's all I got. Subscribe if you feel like it. You don't have to. Share it around. Sorry, my throat. I need to drink water. Yeah, that's all I got. Subscribe if you feel like it. You don't have to. Leave a comment, leave a like. If you really want to support the channel, you can consider becoming a sponsor of the channel. You could bribe me to put this. You could bribe me to put these agents in different tier lists. Probably not. That's a joke. My name's Yojimbo Blade, and I hope y'all have a blessed day. See you soon. And that video will be releasing soon in the future. Not exactly sure when, but it will be released before 3.1 comes out. I'm not ending stream. There are a couple other things I can do. That might be fun. We will turn off Ellen's potential unlock and try to use this character. Oh my gosh, this is going to be awful. If it will be painful. I promise you. Oh no, it's only our basics. No, this character's bad now. Give me that brimstone. This exact build doesn't matter too much. Oh wait, no. This needs to be pen ratio. If I'm going to do the pen ratio build. And this should probably be crit rate. I'm not getting a lot of crit rate in this. Does she give herself crit rate in this? No, she does not. Okay, let's try this out. Oh gosh. Let's go to Deadly Assault. Nah, we will not go to Deadly Assault. We will go to Shiyu Defense. In the true 1.0 fashion, we will go to Shiyu Defense. We'll go to stage 4. Why not? We'll fight this guy. We'll ignore the defense stuff. We'll ignore side 2 and just use Ellen with dial in Suna.
I have two guns.
Time for some tail care. Has made Wait, let me grab my field mic before we bounce.
Ooh, nice try, Kaleda. Give me that back. Give that back to me.
Touch me. Right, okay.
I don't think that the Bang Boo will make a difference. We will just use Snap Boo. Oh yeah, that's right. Ellen doesn't have her additional in this team. Ah! She needs an ice agent. I don't think that 30% damage is important enough.
What a bother.
Amazing Banyue team. Yes. Thank you for noticing. That's a spoiler for an upcoming video that I'm working on. Zhao, that's right. I could have put in Zhao.
Good riddance.
Oh, no. Oh, no. I went for a basic 3 and she got hit out of it. Oh, no. She got hit out of that as well. Oh, no. Yeah, she died. That's the Ellen experience. That's why she's in tier 4. This is the tier 4 agent, by the way. I'm not trying to play this up as a joke. Ellen just simply does not have the iframes to not die. Ouch. And she also has to start her basics from the beginning. Oops.
Good riddance. Troublesome.
You notice how I can't do any of her basics because she will just get hit out of them. So I have to keep using her dodge counter.
Surprise! Turn around! Shark Nami! Get lost!
Ouch. Now I can do the thing where I... Nope. There's a way to get into her dash attack quicker, but like she's still not safe from that. Yeah, this is why, again, this is not a bit. I want you in the comments, if you're watching this, or if you watch this tier list, please, 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 put Ellen, take off Ellen's potential unlock and try to play her. I promise you, it is dreadful. The worst DPS in the game by far.
Watch out for hidden threats! Over here! But I know. Take this. Out of the way.
Oh, she didn't get hit out of it. That's incredible. We'll do this now. Why not?
How annoying. Get flushed! The perfect fight. Better dodge.
I did dodge, and you still got hit, woman. Better dodge. Yeah. What do you think I did?
Thank you for your patience. Troublesome. Sick. Get lost.
Yeah. Like, it's so bad. I can't. You literally cannot do things with this character. It stinks. I'm done. I'm done doing this. I can't do this. Maybe it's a skill issue on my end. I am willing to admit I probably have a skill issue. Romanoid Nikomata's not that bad. Nikomata's actually pretty good. In relative to the characters around her power level. Try Cecilia with A rank and be DPS. Yeah, that's fine. We can do that.
Whatever you
Whoops.
seek,
Did I switch them? I want to
unswitch.
unswitch them.
One. I'm.
Take your deal. If you need,
Is it working?
needs,
I've got.
I'm here.
My. I own. Did you? Touch ready.
I may be slow.
If it's I promise. This is the. Oh, wait.
I am the I've got you covered. Let's move.
Standing by.
I've got ready for I am the
Stand.
I've got your back.
Ready for combat.
I am the
Standing by. Let's move. Oh, I sense someone's peepers on us, Trucky.
Ellen, give me back that brimstone. You have been demoted. Your brimstone is no more. Wait, no, that's right. Astral voice. That's what I need. Astral Voice, Impact. Oh, I didn't make this joke in the tier list video. But I guess I can make it now. People were asking for a drive discs for chain attacks for Evelyn, because Evelyn doesn't have a chain attack drive disc set. Like, what are you guys talking about? What are you wimps talking about? Can't you read? Swing Jazz is right here! Buff your team's damage with chain attacks! What more do you want?
Standing by. Let's move.
Hey, Belle, you know, until they released the Sky Ablaze, which is Pyrois's drive disc set, Julien's best set was Shadow Harmony. That's the dash attack aftershock set. You can make do with what you do. Oh, I want to buff chain. Yeah, get over it. Use it or lose it. Ouch.
Watch out.
Ouch. 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 There are two enemies. It's hard to do this with two enemies, to be fair. That's also why Alan struggled a bit. I didn't even mention this in the tier list. But for Soldier 11 and Monato, as part of the range issue, includes hitting more than one enemy on screen. Soldier 11's range is so short, she will struggle to hit more than one enemy. And a similar issue with Monato.
Copy. Recalibrating. You're in my sights.
Keep the pace. Thunder. The power of these specialists.
Suppressing fire.
Standing by. Time to surrender.
Sustaining fire. Target locked.
Eliminating target. Time to strike.
This bullet will reach its mark.
Careful and finish. The power of these specialists.
Take the shot. Adjusting for wind. You're in my sight.
Ouch. Oh, he is invisible during that? Good to know. I did not know that.
Fire.
Whoops, I meant to duck.
Here to help.
You're in my sight. Take the shot.
Time to surrender. The power of these specialists. Now you're the prey.
Suppressing fire.
Eyes up. Neutralize.
Show no mercy. Sniper's Creed. One shot, one kill.
Oh, just one bite. That one's definitely up to no good.
Ouch. Ambi's dodge counter is also really bad. I didn't mention that in the tier list, but that is true.
Thunder. looking good. Time to surrender.
Take a shot.
The power of the specialist.
Ouch.
Okay, don't die on me now.
I don't want to reset
Adjusting for
this.
wind.
That's a first. And nothing of value was lost.
Suppressing fire. Target locked.
Time to surrender. You can't escape my gaze.
My bullets are
It's
one
a joke
with
of
the
like
wind.
team at 100% power and team at 99% power. That's right. I did lose out on Astral Voice. You're right. I could have played that better. This is obviously the anomaly fight you're supposed to use. It would be Anvi would be better if her dodge counter wouldn't cancel her basics and her dodge counter was actually good, but it's not. I didn't mean to use. I thought I was on trigger.
Suppressing fire.
Oh, this one right. Guess
Ow.
I have to step in. Catch you off guard.
You're in my sights. Supporting position.
Careful, oh my back.
Press the advantage.
Oh, they're both stunned.
You're not
Perfect.
getting away.
I didn't mean to do that.
You're the
I got nervous.
The target's exposed. The melody of combat.
It's gonna hurt.
Copy. Recalibrating. My bullets are one with the wind. Take the shot. Supporting position.
Eliminating target.
So the run became better the less I used Anvi.
Electro engine. Here to help. The power of a true specialist. Locked on target.
Shadow support ready.
Careful, I'm
Out. It is weird that there's no mark for that hit.
You're in my sights.
Time to surrender.
Suppressing fire.
You can't escape my gaze.
Would it be better if I kicked her and used Lucy? Yeah, probably.
Fracture. Eyes up.
Show no mercy.
And what teams can you use trigger? A lot of teams. An unconditional 20% damage buff is always really good. Ouch. Ouch. What?
It's okay. I'm still
What?
here.
He comboed me in the corner. That's unfair. That's so unfair. No. Here's the thing, astronauts. This is not Ambi hyper carry. This is Socia made worse by putting Ambi on the team. Ambi benefits from the team, but also makes the team substantially worse.
Engaging head on. Recalibrating.
Careful, I'm venomous.
You're in my sight.
Copy that.
Suppressing fire.
Roger.
Ouch.
The target's exposed.
Don't leave just yet.
Target locked.
Copy that. Thunder.
Supporting position. Take a shot.
I've got your six.
Press the advantage.
You're not getting away. Now you're the prey.
Ether vision activate. Sniper's Creed.
I hope they
One
both
shot,
line up
one
for
kill.
this. Oh, I don't think they did.
A little off.
The target's exposed.
Don't leave just yet. Super villain, man.
Adjusting for wind. Show no mercy.
Oh, he's invincible during that. I forgot.
Fracture.
Suppressing fire.
You can't escape my gaze. Talk about a stubborn one.
Ether vision activate. Increase.
Oh, just come by.
Get behind me. Yeah.
I'm going to keep Trigger on field because I don't want anyone else to die.
Support is here.
Be gone.
I'll pierce right through. This bullet will reach its mark.
Oh no.
Press the advantage.
Left on target. Neutralize.
Supporting position.
Oh, we love that.
Take a shot.
Time to strike.
Thank you, Mr. Sasuke. I appreciate that.
Careful, I'm venomous.
I don't know why this one's doing worse. I think it's because I'm using... I decided I was going to switch to using Ambi on field, and that means I'm not dealing any damage to this boss. Yeah, replacing Ambi with literally anybody would probably make the team better. Except Ben. Probably not Ben. Also, this is like an anomaly fight, so that's why it's kind of weird. It's janky. Unironically, Seth would be better. We'd have more electric anomaly buildup. Replace Ambi with Ellen? That's diabolical. I don't think I'll do that. Oh, I've been going for 3 hours. Was the tier list that long? didn't realize it took that long. I did talk about a lot of things in that video, though. So that makes sense. I'm using that team. I use that team in Shiyu Defense as a test run for Deadly Assault. There's a video I want to make with this team. You will figure out what that is eventually. I have to do it while Pompeii is still around, though. That's the issue. Oh yeah, by the way, when I did Scorched Horizon with Valina, Yuzuha, Nangong, I don't have Nangong's signature W engine. But that team got 30k. And it would just get a lot higher if I actually used an Anomaly Mastery W engine on Nangong. Because I had a Lycon's Impact one. Because I got more stuns, but I think it would have been more damage if I didn't have that. Who do I think the most versatile DPS is? Haramasa, period. If you want to be that guy, you could say, oh, Valina, because you can just throw Valina onto any Anomaly team, and she's the best character in that team. So that means I'll get him to max power? No, I would not. I would love to get Haramasa's Mindscape 1 for free, because that makes him a lot better in his teams. I have to click it on here, that's right. You can't click it on over here, you have to go over here. It gets you more of his marks, which is a lot more useful for his Anomaly teams, because you can get more anomalies than you can get stuns. So it also means more dash attacks, which is just nicer. I could do that video. I thought about doing it, but then I thought, you know what? There are just so many agents to talk about for the who do you pull on the reruns, or not the reruns, but like we have the A rank selector, the rerun selector, the free selector, and the paid selector. And there are just so many agents to talk about, and I don't think any of them are that game-changing outside of the rerun selector, which is Haramasa, Yuzuha, Dialin. And for any character, I would probably say pick Yuzuha. I would say Yuzuha is the most valuable out of all of them for pretty much every possible team you could make. And then right up close to her is Dialin. And the problem with Dialin is like, if you just pulled for Norma, it's like, well, then you don't really need Dialin. Also, if you're going to get Lycon eventually, or Kaleda eventually, with her potential unlock, then you don't need to have like 25 stunners in your account. Mindscape 1 Yuzuha is actually really good. Theoretically. So you know the whole gimmick of like, oh, you know, you can get chain attacks from Norma. That's her gimmick. That's what Yuzuha does in her Mindscape 1. Is it Mindscape 1 or 2? I'm thinking of Mindscape 2. I'm confused. My bad. My bad. I'm thinking of Mindscape 2. When a heavy attack hits an enemy that is not stunned, it will trigger a forced chain attack. I can't remember if this is her chain attack or if this is the next character's chain attack. I don't know how this works. But it says when another character enters through a chain attack, so I'm assuming it's the other character's chain attack. So yeah, Mindscape 2, Yuza is just like, throw her onto literally any team. Heck, throw her on a Monoto team. Have him at full stacks of Yunkoi Tails. even select the chain attack. That's even better. It is quite literally a forced chain attack. What you can also do is when the enemy is at like, you do her EX when the enemy is at like 99-ish, so they end at 99 days, and then the chain attack coming in will trigger the chain attack again. That's pretty funny. Yeah, Yuza is just so versatile. The only real issue is that this attribute thing is only 10%, and other agents are like 16 or 18%. I could talk about Caesar's Mindscapes a little bit. Mindscape 1 and 2 are kind of good. So the problem is that while Radiant Aegis is active, enemies within a 5-meter radius suffer this all attribute resistance down. This number here is good. This number here is kind of iffy. A 5-meter radius. How far is 5 meters? See, Malite, you say it's the same, but it's not. Because I know for a fact, Zhao does not have a meter radius condition on her debuff. This is technically a debuff, not a buff, but like, this is frustrating. Because if this were just a buff, this would be much better, but it's a debuff. So if for some reason your character is a ranged character, this is just much, much worse. How hard would it be to clear endgame with 3 anomaly teams consistently? It depends on the boss you're fighting. I think we're in a situation right now where you could probably do it, but you'd have to have one team that is like your overpowered team to fight the bosses that are not anomaly coded.
Only the brave will win.
So right now, if we look at
That's me.
Deadly Assault right now, it's a bit of unfair comparison because we have 2 anomaly bosses here. But like pretend one of these is like Miasmic Priest or this is Miasmic Fiend. I meant Miasma Priest. Miasma Priest is really hard and unfair. You kind of just have to like turn, like that's your Nangong Suna team. You just got to turbo stun the boss and turn a character into like a crit DPS basically. Yes, Czar, that is correct. When Yuzuha does her hold basic that will parry attacks, it will also chip away Miasmic Fiend's shield while she's in the state where you can't hit her with anything. And that's just really dumb. Why is Yuzuha a better defense agent than defense agents? I don't know. Give her a move that can just parry every attack in the game. Why? I don't know. She needs it. Red Jacket, you missed a lot. You can rewind to the beginning. I will make it a video on its own. It'll cut out a lot of the fluff in between, so you don't have to worry too much. Zenichi, I don't know if they'll be doing that. Like, I don't think they're going to add a new character to Belobog. I think Belobog is stuck with the agents it's got. I don't think it's expanding. Maybe a potential unlock, maybe like an S plus version of Cecilia is added to the cunning hairs. Maybe if you squint hard enough, maybe that'll happen, but probably not. Red Jacket Ming, what Forest Skill is referring to is in my tier list. I said Ellen.
Touch my tail, and no.
Ellen without her potential unlock is the worst DPS in the game. And I tried to prove it. It's just impossible. I also didn't mention the range thing for a lot of characters. Like, I didn't mention that
I have two
Billy has a
guns,
lot of
so
range on his
double
attacks.
the
That's why he's
accuracy.
much better in a solo environment, and he's quicker and faster. Corrin doesn't really have range or mobility. But granted, when you're in a 3-man team, you'll just build a team so that doesn't have to become an issue. So, does Corrin output more damage than Billy? Yes. Are there...
Woohoo! Starlight. I have two guns.
In Corrin's best teams, Corrin does more damage than Billy.
I have two
In their
guns.
worst teams, Billy will probably deal more damage than
Two
Corrin.
guns, so. Woohoo! I have woohoo! Hop on the bike.
That's about all I have for this stream. I don't want this to... I don't have much to plan because I have other things to do. There are runs I'd like to do, but I don't know if I'll record them because I got to get to editing this video, you know? I was thinking of hosting a tournament with the rules set alongside... Not a tournament, a showcase, but using the rules alongside of my own tier list. Where, for those of you who don't know, there's... Sleeps ratio. Sorry, I bumped the mic. You did not find any results? What are you talking about? It should be right here. Tampa Never Sleeps hosts tournaments that they call ratio tournaments. What's unique about these tournaments is that they have essentially a tier list for characters in the game, and they assign characters point values. The better characters have higher points. The weaker characters have lower points. And because this is a 3v3 tag game, there's a lot of nuance and intricacies to all of these. So, I was thinking you could maybe apply that to Zenless in some way, where based on my ratings of characters, I would give a character like Yuzuha like a 5-point value, and I give Dailin like maybe like a 5-point value. And I say, give players the challenge of build a 10-point team and try to get the highest score you can. So like maybe I give Hugo 3 points, and I give like Hugo gets 3 points, Lycon gets 3 points, and Lighter gets 3 points or something like that. But like if you try to throw in Norma, like how do I phrase this? How about this? Hugo gets 3 points, Lycon gets 4 points, and Lighter, now that's still not fair. It's tough to work out all the intricacies of how to do like a ratio for Zenless. But back to this video, the way players compete is your team has to be 10 points or fewer to have a viable team. So you cannot pick the best teams in the game. You are forced to pick weaker teams, and then they will adjust this list based on who wins. So if you keep winning with a character like Morgan somehow, then they will bump her up to 8 points. So that means your Morgan team becomes worse. If you keep winning with Wolverine, they'll bump up Wolverine to 4 points. So that means you'll have to change your Wolverine team to become slightly weaker. And that also means someone else can get a chance to win. Honestly, the thing to do is rate Hugo as like a 2, and then make the other stunners like 4s and 5s. So that way you can have like Norma's a 5, and then like Dailin's a 5. So you can't use Dailin and Norma in a Hugo team. But like Norma 5, Lycon 3, Hugo 2. I think that would work. Or something like that, where we go along the list and say which we rate these characters based on stuff, whatnot. Yes, Virgil is banned in ratio just because Virgil is in X Factor 3 is just unfair to everybody else, so that's why he's essentially banned. X Factor 3 Virgil is too good. And basically whatever number you gave him that he would be playable in, if you gave him 8 points, people would just pick 2 1-point characters, let them all die, and have X Factor 3 Virgil. And they don't want to see that. Nobody wants to see X Factor 3 Virgil 20 different times in ratio. So 0 is a 7 because 0's best teams include the best characters in the game, but you can't play him with those teams. Yeah, even the 0 players who play 0, they usually don't pick 0 in ratio, just because he's not worth the 7 points. He's too expensive. You can still play him. It's just you're stuck with a 1-point character and then a 2-point character. And those characters are usually not good enough. I did see the patch where they removed Dark Phoenix. That was Yesheng. They were playing Yesheng without Suna or Dylan or Zhao. She could not ever enter her enlightened state. It's so funny that happened like the week after I released my video about cautioning players about pulling for Yesheng, and then the week after they just nerfed Dark Phoenix. They removed her from the game and then they brought her back in. It's very funny. I could theory craft it with maybe get a couple other people to help out with a ratio chart for Zenless. Not there is like the PvP server does have like a point system they assign to each agent, but I think a much more simplified version like this, where we say, yeah, we don't care about your W engine, just use whatever you have, we don't care. The issue again with the ratio is like, how do you account for W engines? And it's like, I think at some point we'd have to just say we don't care, like discard it, and then we'll reassess it later. But yeah, I think we could definitely do that for like a Zenless, not tournament, but have like a Zenless showcase where you show off your best 10-point Zenless ratio team. And it's like Valina is definitely like a 6. Valina's like a 7. And then we make maybe like maybe we make Grace a 2, and that way you can have like one. We'll make Seth a 1, so like your Valina team can be Grace, Seth, Valina. If you really want to play Valina, it's like you go for it, but your team's gonna have to suffer for it. Or we make her a 6, and then we make like a couple of these other agents 3s or 2s, so that way you can still play her with Valina. But we'll say, no. Like, Arya's a 4. Promea's a 4. Like, you can't play Valina with these 2. You have to have 3 agents on the team. Yeah, Mega Man, I'm just spitballing here. It's just a fun idea, because I thought about it. Because, like, the way I was doing my tier list, I thought, like, you know what? This is definitely turning into, like, a ratio tier list, where it's, like, it's in the spirit of giving these characters a ratio value for how good they are in the end game of Zenless, and on most teams. I think for the characters down in tier 3 and lower, they can get 1 point. We can just give them 1. And then characters, we would adjust it based on like specific things, but 2.5 would be 2 points, 2 would be 3, 1.5, and 1 would be 4, and 5, tier 0 would be 5 points, something like that. I'm spitballing here. What about drive discs? I don't think those would have to be like not factored in, just because there's different ways you can build characters now. Like you saw me put Astral Voice on Ambi. Why? Because, well, we already have in the team, Trigger already has King of the Summit, and you don't need to have 2 different King of the Summit buffs. So yeah, just put it on Ambi. Playing Ambi should refund you a point. That would be a 0 point. We can make Ambi a 0 point character. I think for the agents in tier 4, we could make them 0 points, but I don't want to see like, oh, I'm going to pick Valina, Arya, and then Ambi. It's like, well, that's kind of cheating the system, right? Ambi's not going to do anything in that team, so that's not like... Anyway, it's fun to think about. I did not put in too much time into mulling it over, but it would be a fun experiment. Also, for the end of the tier list video, I'm going to like flash up a really quick image of the full tier list, but I don't want to leave it at the end simply because what people do with tier lists is what they'll do is they will skip to the end of the video, see where you place things, and then leave an angry comment. That's what happened in my last tier list video that I made, and that's why I intentionally made it a friendship tier list at the very end. I could do that right now. The fiendship, the friendship. I'll do that right now, and I'll record this for the video. Jumble it up? No. It's going to be this. So that way they'll see me place things. You'd be like, oh, I skipped to the end to see nothing? It's like, yeah, nice try, moron. You can't skip this video. You're not going to skip my video that I put time and effort in just so you get angry at it anyways? At least you can just listen to it. You don't even have to watch it. Just listen, because I say everything. For the friendship tier list, Nicole is going to always be poor and in debt. I think she'd ask you for too much money. I'm going to put her in these 3.5. Lucy, I think she'd be great. A great manager. She has some board thyroids with her. I think I'd enjoy her. So Kaku, she's kind of a kitty. She's a kid. She's a bit needy. But at least she'll steal your food. So that's kind of an issue. Rena, she'll take care of you. She'd be a nice friend, but her food does not taste good. That's a tier 2. Astra, she's a famous pop star. You can't really go anywhere with her without being followed. That's a bit unfortunate. If she didn't have that, she'd be in tier 1. Otherwise, she's in tier 2. Lucia will tell you weird stories and have you pull weird pranks for her research. If you're okay with it, that's probably a tier 1, but that might be a bit annoying for others. I think that's a tier 1.5. Yuzuha will pull pranks when you don't want her to, but otherwise she'll be a pretty good friend. I think that's a tier 1. Suna, she's a bit emotional. She's a bit emotionally unstable. She's a crying child. If you can handle that, if you can handle crying kids, she's probably tier 1, but she might be tier 2. I'm just spitballing. These are not serious. Ben's an accountant who will help you save money. That's tier, and he's pretty chill. That's tier 5. Seth is a pretty nice guy. He's pretty good. He'll definitely be your friend unless he's tried to do something illegal. Caesar's my girl. She's my jam, you know? Gotta put her in tier 0. Pan's also pretty good. He's a bit more frugal, so he'll probably make your food will be less good than it could be. Because he'll try to save money. I'm all for the frugality. Pan's my guy. Me and Pan would buddy up to be like, hey, let's make this as cheap as we can. Save our money. Zhao, it's hard to trust Zhao that she's not using you for stuff. That's why I have to put her in tier 2. Ambi's another great buddy. She'll hang out with you and eat burgers and watch movies. Kaleda's a bit too energetic and outgoing for me personally. I think I'll put her in 1.5. Lycon's pretty good, but he's a bit too serious, so I'll put him in 1.5. If you want to relax, I don't think Lycon's that guy to relax with. Chingy's a cop. She's pretty chill most of the time, so I'll put her in tier 2. Pulchra's gonna like take your money and stuff. She'll want you to sign up for missions. She's a bit shady. I'll put her in tier 2.5. Lighter's also another tier 0.5 guy. He's cool. He's chill. He'll protect you. He'll be your buddy. Trigger, it'd be fun to hang out with Trigger. I don't know if I can see myself doing that. That's a pun. That's a joke. That's an ableist joke. She can still. The problem is like Trigger can still see people. Oh, Trigger's blind. It's like no, she's not. She can see. She's nearly blind, but she's like Daredevil blind, where she's like, oh, I'm blind, but I can still everything perfectly. It's like, oh, so like that's not an issue then. You're fake blind. Jafufu's pretty fun, and she's outgoing. I'll put her in tier 1 definitely. She'd be fun to hang around. Nangong kind of has the issue of Yuzuha, except I think she'd be like, if you get on her good side, you get lucky, but if you get on her, like, she's like, do you want to do this? It's like, oh my gosh, Nangong, please stop being annoying. Whereas Yuzuha will prank you and be like, ha, did you like my prank? Tee-hee-hee. Nangong be like, sorry about the prank. I hope you didn't mind. Tee-hee. It's like, okay, Nangong, I think she might be a bit more annoying than Yuzuha. But she'd still be fun to hang around as if you can get over it. Dialin, she can hear the voices of dead people. I don't think I'm about that. be like, do you want to hear about my inner demons? Like, I really don't. Can you hang up that phone, lady? Norma's kind of a tough one. She's a bit immature, but her story is about her like maturing and going through like emotional stuff. So, you know, she's not bad. I think she goes in tier 2 easily. Yixuan, I like to hang around Yixuan when she's with Jufufu because Jufufu brings out her personality. But when she's not with Jufufu, she has to drop. So, that's that. Monato's another tier 0 guy. Love him. Yidhari, I don't know if I'd love to hang around Yidhari. She's a bit, I don't know. I don't know if I like her personality enough. Like, she's an author, but like, I don't know if she has enough going for her, personally. I don't hate Yidhari. I just like, again, the friendship as like a friend, she'd be a good acquaintance, but I don't know if I'd be like, hey, let's spend on some one-on-one time, you know? Like, I don't know if I know if I would want her to be like that. Bondway's another good one. He'd be out training in the dojo, so he'd be like, hey, you want to come train? If you don't, it's kind of like, I'm focused on training. It was like, you're a bit too training focused to be in tier 0, buddy. Starlight Billy, if you can get over his Starlight's, if you are cool with him being a common writer, then yeah, he's tier 0. Piper's another great one. She'll want to hang around and sleep all the time. It might be a bit one trick, but it's a pretty good trick. Grace is, again, it's very robot focused. If you're okay with that, then that's fine. If that's not your cup of tea, if she had a bit more, then she probably drops down. Grace would always talk to you about her work. Piper would want to talk about anything but work. Jane is another iffy one. In terms of being a friend, you kind of can't really trust her because she might use you for stuff. Like, hey, can I borrow you for a second? And then you're like brought into like a sting operation. So for that reason, I don't know if I can rate her highly. Valina also has some like political things she has to take care of, so she can't make you her #1 priority. So that's why she's not in tier 1. Bernice is the party girl. You have her because she loves the party. But she's not the character you want if you have want to have like a close intimate relationship. Because she'll be too blackout drunk to worry about that stuff. Yanagi's great, but Yanagi, again, very work-minded girl, and I like that. But sometimes you want to talk about the normal stuff in life. Maybe she's not good at doing that. She also has some like eye issues. Like, she is actually probably more blind than Trigger. Yanagi probably has more eyesight issues than Trigger does. Miyabi is kind of like a weird, quirky girl. She'll talk to you about anything except work. Oh, this is an excellent training opportunity. It's like, girl, can we like be serious here? She's like, no, training. It's like, okay, that's funny. That's a bit, but again, friendship value. I don't know if Miyabi can carry like a normal conversation to bring her up to tier 0, unfortunately. Vivian is an odd choice. If you like the stalker girl thing, where it's like, oh, you saved my life, that's great. I'm not a huge fan of the stalker aspect of Vivian's character. That's why I would not put her very high. I don't think she's bad. If she were bad, I'd put her in tier 4. But like, I don't think that'd be a great value for our friendship. Is like, I'm going to follow you everywhere. It's like, could you not? Alice, I think Alice is good. She'd make a bit too much comments about symmetry and about how this reminds me of my father's work when we did that. Like, all right, girl, I get it. Arya's great as long as you can handle being around her and her not showing her true colors. Be like, oh, I can't show you my real form. It's like, okay, she'll be you have to work at it. If she wants to show you who she really is, her robot form, maybe tier 1. I think if you have a estranged, if that relationship is a bit strange, then it probably has to drop a little bit because she'll hide stuff from you. She'll cover up herself. Promea, I think Promea is great, but the problem is she works for Tops, or Krampus. She works for Krampus, and that's Tops adjacent. So there'd be like times when you just can't trust her. I think she'd be a fun friend, but I think she has too much blood on her hands to really have like a close friendship with, you know? A bit too much blood. Remiel, I don't know enough about Remiel. I think the whole the thing we have in the story is really funny, where it's like, you can trust me, right? It's like, known terrorist Remiel? Oh yeah, my best buddy. Known terrorist Remiel probably goes down here. Non-terrorist Remiel probably goes somewhere up here. Billy goes into tier 0. They're the same character, he just has a different outfit on. Monato is very close to being in tier 0. I kind of want to put him there, but I want to say this is the separates the tier 0 is separate from the 0.5s, you know. Corin's also like another needy kind of character. I'll put her in tier 2. If you're used to the shy girl who lacks any confidence, that's Alice, but Alice still has a little bit more confidence in her abilities. Corin does not have any confidence in her abilities, so that's a bit rough. I attempted to put her down here. I don't hate Corin, it's just Corin is a bit needy. And it's like, how needy can she be in this friendship for it to be like a two-way street? It's tough. So I'll put her up a bit. Anton is the guy who will talk about his drill and only his drill. If you're okay with him talking about someone else the entire time, then that's fine. I think because he's too drill focused, he might be in tier 2.5. Soldier 11, if you like eating ramen and never being called by your name, I think that's great. But I think right now she's tier 2. Nekomata, and again, another thieving issues. It's hard to fully trust her. I think that's a tier 3. She will not take out loans from you, ask you to borrow. She will not ask to borrow your money. She will just take it from you. But at least when she takes it from you, she'll probably apologize. Nicole will ask you for money, never pay you back, and say, whoopsies, sorry, can you, like, forgive my debts? You're like, no. Ellen's a sleepy girl. She doesn't really want to do much, so that's kind of the problem. I think she'd be a good friend if you're okay with, like, a person not doing anything. Speaking of people who don't want to do anything, Haramasa. Harumasa is the guy you go to if you want to relax and have the day off. If you need help moving, Harumasa will not come and help you. the characters in tier 0, and even half of tier 1, if you say, hey, I'm moving, they will line up to help you. Be like, oh yeah, I got you, buddy. If you tell Harumasa you need help moving, Harumasa's like, you know what? I'm busy. Sorry. He will come against his will. He will show up and be like, I guess if you still need help, I'll be around. Julian's a bit too serious. That's why I think she's going in tier 2. A bit too work focused to have a normal conversation. Evelyn's tied to the hip to Astra, so maybe tier 1.5. Ambi is just Ambi. She's right here. They're the same person. Hugo, I can't trust Hugo. He's a bit too, again, thief category. I don't know if I can fully trust him. That's why he goes into tier 3. Orphe, again, Orphe is great, but Orphe is tied to Magus. And Magus will not let you will always be butting in as the third wheel for stuff. So that's why it's kind of rough. So that's why she goes in 2.5. No, these agents blank the friendship value of Zenless. Caesar and Billy redefine the friendship value of Zenless. These characters define the friendship value. They excel in the friendship value. These characters follow the friendship value, and these characters struggle in the friendship value, right? Magus can enter sleep mode, but it's self-diagnostic mode. You know, that's what it's called. But it's like, hey, Magus, can you, like, go away? It feels a bit rude to be there, you know? It's like when you invite a friend and they bring their +1, he's like, can you, like, tell your +1 to leave for a little bit? That's a bit rude. You don't want to do that. That's why it's kind of rough. Seed is weird. It's hard to rate her highly. She's weird and quirky, but not weird like Miyabi. She's weird like, let's do some really strange things. Like, I don't know. She's a bit needy. Like, you're putting a lot more effort in than you're getting out from Seed. That's why it's hard to rate her highly in the friendship tier list. Also, she's very immature, so. Cecilia has the problem of these others. She will steal your stuff, but she's also very needy, but she's funny. Like, girl, you are incredibly needy, but dang, you are very funny. Yishun Guang, when she has terminal dementia, and she's down here, but she got over that. So she's kind of up here. If she talks about things that aren't osmanthus cakes, I can't say it because my voice is too dry. This guy is not a person. This guy is not your friend. So that's why he goes in tier 4. He's your Hugo stand. It's hard to trust this guy. You can't see him because my face is covering him. I don't think he's bad. I just don't know why he won't talk. Like, this dude won't say anything. Carry a conversation, please. And Sigrid, I'm guessing Sigrid will kind of go around here. Again, work-minded girl. Fantastic. Great. Love it. All right. Thanks for joining me in this tier list discussion. Be sure to like and subscribe, guys. I will use this background footage for the tier list that I make. All right. The killer above Sokaku. You're right. Tier 3 point. We can remove tier 3.5. See, the thing is, Promia in like a one-on-one conversation would be great. The problem is she's kind of a... You're right. I should probably drop her. Monato, what do you mean? This is literally tier 0. The problem is that when you want to hang out with Monato, he's like, hey, hang on. I gotta make sure I gotta tell my kids. Like, when you want to hang out with Monato, he's got to like schedule in time with his kids, and sometimes he'll bring his kids along. If you're okay with that, that's great. That's tier 0. If you're not okay with that, then that's kind of a knock against it. That's why, like, for me, I want to put him in tier 0. I just think there are enough times where you want to hang out and be like, sorry, I got to spend time with the kids. Nothing wrong with having kids, by the way. I want to have kids. But like, then you have like the kids clinging all over you, and you're trying to have like a one-on-one conversation, and then I forgot what the kids are called, but they start butting into the conversation, and it's just, for that reason, I'm out. I'm not out, of course. That's why he's in tier 0. All right, that's it. Subscribe. Like and subscribe. Be sure to smash that like button. Be sure to obliterate the subscribe page. I want you to launch a tactical nuke on that membership, guys. Be sure to join the members. Intoxicate the members. Whatever it's called. I don't know. Do a crime in the 3rd degree to those super chats. Am I right? If you've committed a third degree crime, be sure to super chat below. Super chat? It's a rough day. I get tired talking. All right, that's it for the video. I will be ending stream now. That's it. Thank y'all for joining me. That was fun. Before we go, I will try to see if there's anyone else I can send y'all to. I don't know if anyone else is streaming right now, but I can look. Oh, ALG is streaming. Cool. I don't have a way to raid him because I haven't set that up with him yet. So I will leave this in the chat. So go check him out. Maybe. What he has on screen is really weird. I don't approve of that, but, you know, I can't control that. He's a weird dude. All right, that's it. Bye. Thanks for coming. See you soon.